Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary Ashton, and this is the week in review. I mean, what a week it's been. We continue on the road to WrestleMania. I think as of Friday Night SmackDown, we were 40 days away. So now it should be 39 days away from WrestleMania 40. And, guys, we've kind of adopted this conversational model with Weekend Review, which has made me enjoy this series a hell of a lot more. So I'm not going to do the usual layup of like, oh, Ash, what did you think? I want to dive right into conversation. And what else is there really to talk about but The Rock? I think I'm becoming a fan of his again. I don't
Oh my
know.
god, that's so good.
Yeah, I don't know. I say that very tentatively because here's the thing. Okay, let's break this down. Obviously, let's just talk about the elephant in the room straight away. Rock had a promo on SmackDown. We're going to talk about another promo he did that, thanks to you, I became aware of on Twitter, which was like 21 some minutes. Gave a lot of great exposition, a lot of great backstory for people that aren't aware.
Mhm.
And I think really helped further the story, with him, Roman Reigns, Cody Rhodes, all that stuff. But on SmackDown, two big things really happened on that promo. First, one, he challenged Cody. It would be Cody and Seth, who he calls the walking clown emoji, versus The Rock and Roman Reigns in a tag team match with huge stakes. Because if Team Cody would win, the bloodline would be barred. It would just be a pure one on one match, Roman Reigns versus Cody Rhodes and for the title. But if the bloodline would win, it's bloodline rules. Jimmy could be the timekeeper. Paul Heyman could be referee. Solo could sing a solo in the middle of the ring beforehand. It's anything goes. And so, why that's both good and bad. I mean, again, it's a good narrative engine. It gives Cody the prototypical like struggle because we know Brian had to beat Triple H at the start of WrestleMania 30, and then he kind of bookended it to get in the triple threat. We know Benoit, even though he didn't have struggles at WrestleMania 20, he had to get there by winning number one from the Royal Rumble. So every babyface, with this, kind of decade long kind of mania, always goes through a little bit of extra struggle, and this apparently is Cody's. Fair enough. Where that's a bit bittersweet is that obviously this would mean that if you, like us, are huge fans of Bailey and Io Sky, especially, who have been doing genuine numbers for SmackDown, any hope that we had of them main eventing, and I will admit that I hung on to a sliver. I don't feel like Ashton had any. I think he's far more pragmatic and realistic than I am on a lot of these things. But yeah, that's officially gone up in smoke. Because I fully see this main eventing night one, and then of course Cody Roman main eventing night two. That is the downside, and I really am a bit pissy about it. But I mean, the work being done here is fantastic, and I don't want to unnecessarily take it out on this work because then the next big thing is that Roman cuts in on this promo, and Roman's been pissy the whole segment because Arizona didn't give him the reaction he wanted. He wanted to leave. Heyman was like, "Oh no, my tribal chief, we can't because The Rock has to come out." And he cut The Rock off from the whole if you smell thing. They have a stare down. I'm like, oh man, what's this? And Roman's like, I'm willing to do anything for my family. I just need one thing from you: acknowledge me. And The Rock did. And Paul Heyman, I know he's rightfully in hot water because he quote tweeted a guy that was tweeting against Aaron Bushnell, the Air Force man that immolated himself in the name of Palestine. So, RIP to him, absolutely. And, this guy tweeted something very disrespectful. And then Paul Heyman quote tweeted with something like, oh, we always set the competition on fire, like something to that degree, like a play on words on fire. And he's been in hot water for that. Again, I would say justifiably, but putting that aside and
To be
compartmentalizing,
clear, by the way, when you say he's been in hot fire, strictly the court of public opinion. We know nothing about his standing in the company. If anything, he's probably just fine there.
oh yeah, he's fine in the company. It's the court of public opinion for sure, and I'm glad that you stepped in for that clarification because yes. But I was going to say to compartmentalize that as a member of the court of public opinion, dude, I still love how this dude fucking emotes. Like Paul Heyman's face when Rock said, "I acknowledge you," and you could literally see him mouth oh my God, because he didn't expect it. Like the work that Heyman does with his eyes alone is to me, whether I like it or not, better than what most workers can do with a live microphone. He's just he gets me every time. He has that line to my funny bone. I thought this was a great segment. I like The Rock's energy because, again, it's like that angry boomer energy, but it does feel like he's got a bit of a pep in his step. I mean, I'm a child because when he called Arizona a crack den, I cackled a little. I'm not going to lie.
Dude,
I popped.
the amount of censorship that happened during that segment too was obnoxious, and apparently most of it was because one dude in the crowd had a "Die Rocky Die" sign, and they kept on cutting to black every time that would be on the screen.
Wow. Yeah, I can't even really begrudge the fan for that because wasn't Die Rocky Die like an old chant in his
It
first
was a
run when he just
very
wasn't going to.
common chant when he was, yeah, like coming up in the late mid, especially the mid '90s when he was like white meat baby face Rocky.
Well, that's like the second issue I've had with how this country presents the First Amendment today. The first one being far more politically charged. But yeah, that's really ridiculous to me. I actually don't have any ill will towards that fan. I think like, wow, is it the First Amendment or isn't it? Like, what are we, what are we doing? But I love this. I thought this was great. It's just amazing that a storyline that goes on for so long as this has, it has its ebbs and its flows, but when it flows, it is really good. And I'm curious, man, because what I'm most curious about from you, because again, you alerted me to this. You alerted me to the Rock's, we'll call it his Twitter promo.
Yeah.
And obviously, we're both aware of the SmackDown promo because I think you and I were very similar that we missed the last 20 minutes of SmackDown. And I did watch the YouTube clip because it was just Randy Orton versus Austin Theory. I really do not care. And I know you were the same way. So we both have watched everything The Rock has done this week. What did you think of all his promo work?
I think he's been on fire. I think he's been incredible.
Yeah.
I think he has, I especially that Twitter promo, and he did. I will say he did sort of reiterate a lot of his Twitter promo points in the SmackDown promo. I do feel like it was a little bit on the repetitive side. Like he definitely went out of his way to make sure that anyone who didn't see the Twitter promo still got the general vibe of the Twitter promo, and it
Yes.
worked. It still worked. Like those of us who saw the Twitter promo were popping because he was getting away with saying the shit that he said on the Twitter promo on TV, and those who didn't see the Twitter promo got popped for the first time by the shit that he said on the Twitter promo on TV. Like I this is the kind of shit that I wish AEW would learn from, because when you do shit online and then you just assume that your entire audience has seen it and move on to the next thing in the story afterwards, you're losing a lot of people, and it will alienate people. And I think that WWE and specifically The Rock here handled things far better by reiterating certain points and establishing certain points on TV that were already established on social media, but not everyone pays attention to social media. Like, for example, John, if I hadn't sent you the link to that video, you wouldn't have known about the Twitter video.
No, I either wouldn't have known about it or it would have taken me longer than you alerting me to it because I maybe would have seen something trend, but I may not have even been inclined because you know how I felt about this whole story.
Right.
But I'm glad that you kind of tugged me on the shoulder and was like, hey, like watch this. And I did because, it really I liked how expositional it was without being like, too contrived or like too heavy fisted. I'm liking the energy of everybody. Roman is still on top of his game. And I have to point out when it comes to the SmackDown segment again, and I have to credit the fans that pointed this out because it got me thinking, when they're holding up the ones, how does The Rock do it? In the shape of a fucking L. And like you just gotta wonder, like, what's going on here? How many
See, no,
layers are we
I
peeling
thought
back
it
here?
looked more like when he did it last night on SmackDown. This time around, it looked like he got the thumb tucked.
Here's the thing, bro. He tucked it towards the tail end, but there was a portion when he held it up that he did the L again. And that's the thing.
Oh.
Like, because yeah, I know exactly what you mean because like he put the finger up and there's an L, but then like I think it cuts away and it cuts back, and like yeah, he does tuck the thumb, so it looks more like the point of the finger up in the air. Which is that little subtle thing. Now again, I don't want to read too much into it. I think I already have, but it is just something interesting to think about because I mean, here The Rock is, and Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns have said in interviews for years, like this is a layered story. This is not, I mean, Roman Reigns said it best. I love this quote from Roman. I think this was from a year or two ago. He said, look, this story we're doing, we're not serving McDonald's, we're serving filet mignon. And, so I think that's what's caused me to kind of just be attentive when people are like, oh, notice this or notice that, or if I pick up something or if you pick up something,
Right.
because it's filet mignon, and if they want me to pay attention, I'm paying attention. So I think this has been great. I agree with you completely. I'm so happy that The Rock, like, isn't phoning it in, and I really am curious, like, what his role is going to be. I do understand where Foster's coming from. I do want to welcome Foster to the chat officially. Welcome, Foster. You're beautiful. I love you. And he said, for me, my biggest problem is it makes me more excited for Rock Roman than Roman Cody. I can see that. I can understand that. I think if you've really been enjoying The Rock's work, and especially if you didn't like The Rock, or excuse me, if you didn't like Roman Reigns in character, cutting The Rock off and being like, acknowledge me and doing the whole thing, then yeah, you're going to be hyped for the matchup because Rock's not going to let that slide. One would have to imagine anyway. But yeah, and I've even had some of my own theories, which I'm holding off on. I want to wait till preview and predictions because you got to promote that content somehow. But I've had my own cockamamie theories, and if you thought I jumped the shark before, wait until you see what I'm cooking up for preview and predictions, y'all. It's the most John I've ever Johned in my John life. It's going to be amazing. But
Oh, you're talking
yeah,
WrestleMania preview predictions now.
yes, yes. Yeah, because
Oh.
I've been thinking about this story and I'm like, man, I'm about to jump 10 sharks at fucking once. It's gonna be amazing. You guys are gonna love it.
Oh,
So
okay.
so just want to promote our content there because it's WrestleMania season, and I always feel like we all get a pep in our steps around this season. But I don't want to overstay our welcome here. Is there anything else you wanted to say about the Rock segments? Anything going on with the story? Anything?
Probably, yeah. Let's see. I'm curious how you feel about the whole walking clown emoji thing.
It's I think it's safe, which is what it should. That's not me trying to insult it. I think, like, you're not going to call him like a fucking asshole or whatever, because again, publicly traded company, all that stuff. I think it's safe, but also at the time kind of clever because again, it's funny. I don't even think The Rock meant this, but I actually did watch Versus from First We Feast with Becky and Seth, and I learned two interesting things. One, Seth writes poetry. It's actually very personal to him, apparently, because when he was challenged to read one of his poems, he actually opted to eat a wing. So I think that's very cool that Seth writes poetry. And if his embarrassment to share came from some masculine thing and not a personal thing, Seth, baby, we love you. Share the poetry, we promise. But if it is personal, of course, that's an entirely different matter. But the other thing I learned was that Becky went to clown school, actually. So, it's kind of a layered thing. Like he calls that the clown emoji, but he's married to a woman that went to clown school. And when you think about like how he dresses and cackles, like, yeah, it fits. I actually think of all like the kind of just shoe in things you could say, or one of the more like by the numbers insults you could do. That was actually pretty good when you think about all the context. What did you think of the name? I'm curious. Since you asked me the question, I'll turn it back on
Yeah.
you. What did you think?
It's funny because the first thing that I thought of was like, wow, this is brilliant because Seth, obviously, the first thing that Seth attacked Wayne for was the lack of originality and the lack of original new content because he's still reciting the same shit from 20 years ago or whatever. And immediately The Rock snaps back with new original content, like the whole clown emoji thing. Like he's never called anyone that, and of course it's new in the sense that like it's an insult he's never used before, but also it's new in the sense that like emojis haven't really been around for that long. I mean, there was a point in time that we used to call them emoticons, and then we shortened it
Yes.
to emoji at some point in the last like decade or so. So like, yeah, The Rock is not only bringing original content, but he's actually bringing like contemporary content. So that's like he's clapping back at Seth and being like, "Oh, really? I can't come up with original content. Okay, let me show you my original content." And I appreciate that. But there was a little bit of like weird apprehension on my part because I feel like, is there a level of homophobia with this?
Interesting. Can you unpack that a little bit? Because I didn't detect any, but this could be a chance for me to like unlearn some of my ignorance, right? Like,
Well,
what
no, I
is there
just
something
like
that I don't?
just because it's like Seth is always dressing and acting kind of effeminate, like right, and
Right.
I'm like,
Yeah.
is The Rock really like trying to kind of gloss over that without being like too direct about it by using the clown comparison?
Man, I think that's a salient point you bring up, and one clearly based on my reaction that I hadn't considered. Um, I'm just gonna say possibly. I don't want to like unpack it too deep and get like lost in it. But it's definitely possible because we know, I mean, The Rock made a career of that. I mean, John Cena certainly
Yeah,
did.
it's like one of those
And
things where it feels like 1998 Rock 1,000,000% of the time would have called Seth a pansy.
yeah, for sure. 100%.
So
A
like he's
100%.
just updated his vernacular to be more accepted in current day.
Right. Not necessarily a dog whistle, but it's pretty veiled. Like, hey,
Yeah,
I'm
that's just
really
it's
calling you
you know,
this.
I'm not trying to like call The Rock out or say that he's a homophobe or anything.
Right, right, of
It
course.
just feels like you said, it feels a little dog whistly. It feels a little bit like veiled language to me.
Yeah, that's fair. You know, you really gave me something to chew on, man. Um, I think he did a great job explaining everything. And just why, like, he had to talk with Cody and everything. Almost like they knew it was like this master plan all along. Like, hey, Roman, you just got to hold on to that title till Mania 40, and then we're gonna make bank. And then of course Cody had to be the fly in the ointment. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's really one of those things when The Rock says that pro wrestling is cool again. I don't know if I would go that far because I still don't quite see that mainstream buzz that you used to see. Even like during Brian's run and Becky's run at the top, I'm not really hearing a lot of mainstream figures talk about pro wrestling. But then again, it could just be what I'm not seeing. So maybe he is onto something. So I don't quite get that vibe, but I can understand. I mean, WWE is making a shit ton of money. And I'll tell you, if pro wrestling is ever going to be mainstream again, that Netflix deal might even help them out with that. I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
even know who's doing who a favor in that case. Is Netflix doing WWE a favor, or is WWE doing Netflix a favor? Or I guess in this case, it really is both. But yeah, it's definitely an exciting time for pro wrestling for sure. But yeah, man, anything else you want to talk about? Because again, I feel like I've said everything on my end, but I don't want to take away anything that you might want to talk about that I haven't considered.
I honestly love that The Rock just being a part of Roman Cody 2 has sort of provided a third perspective because obviously like you and I love Roman Reigns. That's
Yes.
we are super into the Roman Reigns character and Roman as a performer and everything. And there's a huge faction of people who are super into Cody as well. And obviously, we are not part of that group and we do not agree with that group, but they have the right to their opinions. But I love that now The Rock is offering this completely different third perspective where you and I mean, if we had to choose between the three, we would absolutely pick Roman. But at the same time, we are becoming Rock fans again simply because he's railing against the Cody fans.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
that's literally what it is. It's like he is out here calling out these Cody fans for pretending that their boy is an underdog when he's had everything handed to him the entire time.
Bro, I know. Like, you know, earlier on my side of like, you know, my exposition of my thoughts and everything, I had mentioned how, like, you know, they're kind of integrating Cody into that WrestleMania tradition. And I mentioned Brian's obstacles and Benoit's obstacle to even get to Mania 20. And I'm like, both of those guys, it just felt more authentic with them, and with Cody, it just feels so manufactured and contrived. Like it just, I don't feel like even Kofi Mania would have been a great example too, even though he doesn't exactly neatly fit into that like per decade kind of mania. If we're just looking at big underdog stories, I mean Cody especially, dude. I mean, excuse me, Kofi especially, dude. What was just yeah, it was immense because everybody was moved by his fucking chamber performance, and they weren't done with him. WWE wanted to be, but the fans were like, no, like, give him his singles match. Like, this is our guy. Whereas Cody, like, I guess they just wanted to get him astronomically over. And to me, it's just noxious. So to see The Rock call it out, I'm like, yeah, you know, I don't necessarily like you either, but you right. You right. Um, so yeah, man, it's great. But I really am curious what the fallout of all this is going to be, because especially too because we know the draft is going to happen after Mania. I really feel like
Yeah,
WWE is
usually
getting
the
ready to make
draft
some
is
big
like
moves.
3-ish weeks after Mania,
Yeah, yeah,
somewhere around there.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
yeah, I mean
Um,
that should be interesting. I'm very curious to see how that shakes things up. It usually makes things interesting.
but bro, to continue on the SmackDown train, since this is kind of where we parked our car. Look, I'm gonna be that guy, okay? Because I mean, why not me? I've already got enough, you know, I've already got enough citations as it is. Bailey, what are you doing? We tried to tell you. We
Bro.
tried to tell you so many times. Like, I'm not even trying to.
She even like had the hunch. Like she was skeptical the whole time and she still fell for it. Jesus.
Bro. Bro, I swear to you, and you know when I'm being sincere to you. I swear to you, I am not trying to be mean to her. This is not a bit. But I watched that happen, and I don't know if I've ever done a more sincere with my whole fucking chest. I told you twice in my whole life. Because I'm looking at that and I'm like, what are you even Bailey, if you notice, even Bailey, when it happens, she has that moment where she just hangs her head down for 2 seconds, and she's probably thinking to herself, "I
Oh
fucking
shit.
knew it."
Yeah.
It's like, yes, yes. Dude, here's the thing. I like this segment, but I have to because I don't know if you put forward that this is what you wanted or if you were just reminding people that this happened, but I have to give you credit because I like not necessarily your idea. I really should just say your memory more because you brought up how EO betrayed Mayu, and I feel like that type of betrayal would have been more effective here.
Yeah,
Um,
I was even saying in the live discussion, like, we all saw this coming, but it's precisely because we all saw it coming that I feel like they should have done more to make the betrayal feel like a bigger deal. Like they were like, listen, everyone knows this betrayal's happening. Let's just do it and get it out of the way in the most lazy, anticlimactic way possible. Whereas to me, it's like everyone knows this is happening, so we have to make it huge.
yeah,
like
yeah.
they just had the exact opposite mindset to me because they're like, everyone knows, let's just rip the band-aid off. And I'd be like, everyone knows we are going to make this massive. We are going to blow people's doors off.
Bro, I am so glad that you have my back on this because it's not that I hated this segment because it's really a testament to the women involved that you could go the laziest route and it's still good television. But like I don't want these women to just get good television just because there's no chance of them main eventing either night of Mania now. I still want them to get the most excellent television you could write. And, EO having her stardom experience and stuff, like, I don't know how creative works with storylines like this. I don't know who has pull and who doesn't. I have no idea what goes on over there. But I wish somebody would have said, like, no, let's give them an actual match. Like, you've got grade A fucking talent here. Now, maybe Dakota still couldn't work an actual match. And I got to think about that too. And, because she did have the brace and everything else, but I don't know if she's been formally cleared. Maybe they're like, you know what, she can do this and she could have a little bit of a scuffle with Bailey because we know that happened when Bailey was trying to fend them off, but she can't like work. And if that's the case, I can understand it. Dakota's health obviously comes first, and as a character, we don't, she's not invited to the club, but as a person, she's a fucking sweetheart. So like protect her at all costs.
Yeah.
But like even so, I wish there would have been a better way to do this. Like it just seemed like these women have been on such a roll. I'm really invested in all of them. And then when she dropped down from the apron, I'm just like, we knew. We knew. Everybody knew except Bailey, apparently. And
And
then they
even
beat her
Bailey, I
down.
feel like 75% of Bailey knew, but she trusted the 25.
Which, like, Bailey, listen to me because nobody trusts the minority percentage in their own mind more than me, and I pay for it all the time. Be better than me, Bailey. Be better than me. There's no hope for me. It's over. I'm cooked. But there's still hope for you. Mania is 39 days away. Listen to, I don't want to say the math because that's gross, but listen to the majority within you. Okay?
She
You
could
don't
listen to
have
the
to like,
math.
no.
She could though.
She could, but no. And so yeah, just do better, Bailey. I think that's the nicest way that I could present this because man, when I was watching this, I'm like, we fucking told you, bro. We told you. And then Dakota, I love Dakota too, because like, and I do mean this sincerely, because again, everybody's working. I get it. But she tweeted a picture of her with damage control, and she's like, cry. And I really wanted to be the most me I've ever been. And I wanted to reply to her and be like, no, I won't, because I knew it was coming. And fuck you. But I didn't. But yeah, she's like, oh, did I break all your hearts? And I'm just like, no, because we all know you. We all know who you are. Fuck. I will say though, man, I cannot wait for Dakota to be formally cleared because again, that's the only reason I think that they didn't do more with this. Because if Bailey does win the title, I want to see her have a mini feud with Dakota. I think those two could fucking eat.
Yeah.
I've missed seeing Dakota wrestle, honestly.
Yeah.
I'd like to see her get back in the ring. I'd like to see her mix it up. And yeah, like I'm still loving this story, but now that it's clear that Bailey's on her own, you got to really put your best foot forward with these remaining weeks. Cause like, yeah, they're doing great stuff, and I want to see them, get their flowers. But I mean, bro, you're the just huge EO fan. I know you love and respect every woman in here like I do. Do you have any additional thoughts you would like to share?
I gotta tell you, man, I'm actually kind of starting to wonder if Io might retain at Mania. I'm hoping that Bailey wins, just because I'm really hoping that she gets that moment. I don't know as far as what her record at Mania goes. I really don't know. I couldn't tell you, but it just feels like they have been building towards her getting that moment. But I don't know, the way that they teased Jade already. They literally teased Io and Jade backstage on SmackDown, and it made me wonder if maybe they're going to go that direction after Mania, if they're going to have Io retain and just have Bailey move on to something else, or maybe get drafted to Raw and have Io and Jade do their thing maybe at SummerSlam.
Yeah, you know what, dude? When I saw that segment, and by the way, thank you for tying that together because I probably would have only remembered it later in the show. So good pickup by you there. I'm like, yeah, maybe Bailey's just not the maybe Bailey is just at the stage of her career where she wants to get over other talents, and that's like I know Bailey already had the really long SmackDown Women's Championship run, but I would like to see Bailey get one more run, particularly as a babyface. I'm in the same boat with her as I am with Kevin Owens. Like I want another title reign, but I want it as a babyface. So we'll see, because I'm right there with you. I do think Jade and Io could be a fascinating matchup, but I just don't know where Bailey fits in that scheme in the sense of is she going to be the champion and Io and Jade just feud over something else, or is Io just going to keep the title and then maybe Bailey just feuds with Dakota and the rest of Damage Control, so she's on the periphery but she's still like in the conversation. I don't know, but I am definitely curious what they're going to cook up in the remaining weeks. Um, Speaking of the women, I just want to go very quickly and rip the band-aid off. Tiffany beat Naomi, and the only
So I
conversation
heard that apparently this match and Naomi's entrance got cut due to The Rock going overtime.
that's great. That's just
Yeah,
wonderful.
apparently he went over by like 10 minutes and they had to cut time. And this was one of the victims and probably the biggest victim.
I love Naomi and I want her to be able to have full time to showcase her stuff. But to be honest, maybe it was good that this got cut because I'm guessing that just the result was always going to be the same of Tiffany winning.
Yes,
So, like, I guess you
definitely.
just ripped the band aid off, right? Um, and the only conversational point I have about this, I'm just going to reiterate to our audience, bro, what I told you during Rocket League last night. Tiffany Stratton is 1000% right now my favorite to win women's money in the bank this year.
And I
Men
think
is,
I
yeah,
even told John when he told me that I think that's perfectly reasonable, even if I'm not happy about it.
yeah,
I
yeah.
also told John while we were playing Rocket League last night that I had a revelation about Tiffany on SmackDown, and that is that I love the Tiffany Stratton character. I just can't stand the performer who is portraying the character. I think it sucks that we have a green as goose shit gymnast, basically, MAGA supporter, portraying this character because this should be the most feminist character in all of wrestling.
Yeah, like I look at Tiffany and like how she carries herself like as a character, and it just makes me want like a legally blonde baby face like wrestling
That's
character.
what I'm.
Like, I think
That's why I said this should be the most feminist character, dude. This should. I'm telling you, Mariah May is everything that Tiffany Stratton should be.
yeah, yeah. Like you have no idea, y'all, the work that Mariah May is doing, carrying on her back the blonde female wrestler stigma and like destigmatizing it, only for it to be re-stigmatized when people like Tiffany walk through the door. And I'm like, God damn it, just let Mariah cook. Like, what the hell? Because yeah, I mean, she is absolutely brilliant. And look, I don't want to needlessly hate on Tiffany, but Ashton bringing up the whole gymnast thing, guys, I saw a short of somebody thinking that they were flexing on Tiffany's behalf, showing like footage of her gymnast days and then like her doing, I guess, like a twisting senton to oh god, I'm blanking. Wendy Chu on NXT. And like visually, sure, it looks fine, but even in her gymnast days, she did some cool flips. I mean, I shattered my ankles just looking at it, but she missed the landing pad. Like she missed it. You can go and you can look at it's like, oh my god. And I'm like, how? And now she's lucky though that her prettiest moonsault ever, like it looked amazing when she hit it on Naomi. I will give her credit there, and I guess I'll also give Naomi credit for her placement, so that it all aligned well. And what scares me, bro, so it scares me that she's going to win women's Money in the Bank, which you said was reasonable. Which if you say that one of my Money in the Bank predictions is reasonable, we're fucked. But then also, I really worry that she's gonna turn face eventually, just organically with the crowd, because the crowd seems to respond to her, which gives me all kinds of ick. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, ugh, why? So we're gonna be seeing a lot of Tiffany going forward. And anybody that doesn't want that to happen, I literally don't even know what to tell you. I can't even sass you, because it's like it's happening. It's happening. Um, well, now it's time to have our most thorough conversation of the night. Ashton, I know you're an Iron Man intellectually, so I know you'll be able to go the distance with me to talk about this next matchup. Are you ready for this? We need to unpack together
Wait, is this going to be
Zion.
Braun? Yeah, it
Yes,
is.
Zion Quinn
Braun
versus
Breaker
Braun Breaker.
versus Zion Quinn. Well, John, you see, I don't know if you noticed, but once the bell rang, actually, no, before the bell even rang, Zion Quinn shaved his beard.
Indeed, indeed. I think he thought it would make him more aerodynamically perfect, which is an interesting hypothesis that unfortunately didn't get tested, because
Well, the
when
more
the bell
unfortunate
rang,
thing is that it made him aesthetically less perfect.
that is true, because with the beard, he's like, what a man. But without the beard, it's like, oh, a man.
He went
Do you
from
see the
he
difference
went
in
from
tone?
daddy to twink.
Exactly. And I mean, he got fucking burst open like a Twinkie after that fucking just drove the wind out of him.
Holy
You
shit, I
know?
can't believe you made that work. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's why we get paid the big bucks, brother. But no, like, all jokes aside, I know Braun was kind of a spiritual successor in a way to a kind of Goldberg. I just didn't think they'd be so literal about it. I mean, god damn.
How long
And you
before
know
the
what?
breaker, breaker, breaker type
I
chants to
get
the tune of the Goldberg chants?
If it ever happens, I'll give it a month. I'll
Yeah.
get because it
Because if
this
it's going to
yeah.
happen, it's going to catch on quick for sure. I agree with you on that.
Yeah. I do want to say too, acknowledging Foster real quick. I thought about you when Zion Quinn was in the ring, and then when that happened, I'm like, wrestling gods, do you not know who Foster is? I will never stop giving him hugs. I mean, love isn't a finite resource. It's one of the categorical mistakes we make as a society. But I mean, how much are you going to put my man through it? God damn. I'm like, where has Zion Quinn been? And then I
Dude,
know
I feel like
where.
didn't we see? I think like I saw something that Zion Quinn literally has not wrestled a match since like May of last year.
Yeah, and then they trot him out for this. For
They
this.
trot him out to get squashed faster than I think I've ever seen anyone who's actually an established name in the company get squashed.
Yeah. Bro, it was absolutely wild to me to witness that. I'm like, you have got to be shitting me that he just
And
owned it like
especially
that.
too, because like we've seen this dude be charismatic before. This dude was almost like a Goldberg type character in NXT at one point, and they do this to him. Why?
I mean, bro, like, again, I'm going to be that guy, but I think I found the sweet spot of being that guy, but being somewhat nice about it. I felt so bad for Zion, because even commentary was laughing at him, bro. And they weren't laughing at him literally. They were laughing at him because Corey was like, hey, wait, do you think we got time to watch the whole match again? And then, like, bam, it ended. Like, they were having a good laugh about it. Like, oh, look how short this match was. Poor Zion, man. He never stood a chance. Like, I'm actually amazed. And see, this just goes to show how far Zion, I guess, has fallen in WWE's, like, field of thought. Because Dante Chen, at least a week prior, got a little bit of offense, and he stayed in there with Braun a little bit. Zion, it was like, nah, man. And
That's how
I
you
also,
know it's time to step up the competition for Braun.
yeah, absolutely. Like, dude, I'm telling you, the first time he confronts Roman Reigns, if that's possible, if that is fucking possible, because again, I don't know how the
It'll be
draft's gonna
after
go.
Roman loses the title to Codius.
Oh God, Codius.
Did you wait? I
But again,
feel like I heard the nausea in your voice.
you Chris suppresses a lot, but even it has limits. Um, so yeah. But no, again, I am gonna be my most unhinged for preview and predictions, so I'm gonna hold that back. But yeah,
WrestleMania preview predictions.
Yeah. What did I say?
You
It
just
doesn't
said
matter.
preview predictions. You just didn't specify which.
Oh, I didn't specify. Well, good, because I wouldn't want to accidentally give like AEW credit, because fuck AEW. But yes, WrestleMania preview and predictions. But
Oh,
yes, yeah.
wow. Alex said Zion is almost as handsome as you, John, and this is the thanks he gets?
Okay, first of all, like, thank God blush isn't audible because Jesus Christ. Second of all, you're so right. We need to fix this
I wouldn't be able
immediately.
to hear myself think if blush was audible after Foster said that.
I know, like, you're so right. We need to get Zion in the family somehow. Then we need to repackage him, make him a mafioso, because Tony D is getting ready to make big moves, capiche? And it's gonna be a
I
great
mean, we
time.
don't need
We're all
him to
gonna have
be
fun.
in the family. The family can just pay him to be a bouncer, or at least, they could have before his fucking credibility went out the window here.
And that's why you're the idea guy. All right. Oh God. Now, I was joking before about the discourse, and I even was proud of
Do
myself for a few
Samoans
moments.
hate New Zealanders? Oh my god, is that a thing?
Wait, what? You kind of just took me out there. I feel
No,
like you just
Caster Sales
swerved.
just said maybe Zion was another victim of Dwayne, and it made me wonder: do
Oh God,
Samoans
I was thinking that too.
do
Yeah,
Samoans have like a long-lasting hatred of Kiwis or something?
Gala, educate us. Where are you?
Yeah, yeah. Our history buff. What's the field that's like the study of human history again? I forget.
Anthropology?
Yeah,
Would it
the,
be?
our local anthropologist. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. So as I was getting ready to say before, I apparently didn't pay attention to chat because I was wondering what the hell is he talking about. I'm like, what? Um, I was joking about discourse before, and I patted myself on the back
Oh,
for finding compassion, but that's totally leaving here
dude, I
because we're
have to
talking about.
apologize. I thought that Zion Quinn was New Zealand. He's Australian,
Oh, okay.
and he's half Samoan.
Oh, wow. So,
Wait,
like,
wait. They're not gonna use that, are they?
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But like, no. Let's move on.
Are you good?
I'm good. Let's move on.
I'm not even going to do the build up this time because I did it twice and I got caught blocked. So we're going to talk about Carlito versus Santos street fight.
Oh, I fell
Yeah,
asleep at the beginning of this, so have fun.
yeah. You know what? Fuck Carlito. Fuck the idea that he's the babyface in this. And fuck them having Santos lose in like the big matchup that was supposed to be the end of the feud because I didn't know it was a feud when the scoreboard up until this point was 15 fucking zilch. And so yeah, Angel and Umberto, they come out to observe and to learn. And so what? It's no DQ. And so what? They rough up Carlito a little bit. I mean, who's gonna do anything about it? Oh, wait, that's right. The LWO, except they won't because they ate fucking ring post. Way to go, you scrubs. And then when it seemed like Santos was gonna win, see, that's why I didn't even do the segue, because again, I tried and it's like, no, I'm just gonna let the anger hang out. No, and then when fucking Santos is going to win and assert dominance, and man, is it extra girthy. Fucking Oscar's theme hits. Thank you for not dyeing your goatee for us, by the way, you old ass fucking shit. I mean, the gray was just
Bro,
oozing off of it.
I know he's
And he's,
old, but can I just say, legit pop of the year contender?
you know what? Yeah, I mean, the crowd definitely reacted. I mean, it's Arizona. I mean, The Rock literally called it a crackdown. They lost all credibility after that. And you know what? He was right. He was right because them clapping for this. Oh my God, I'm still hurt. But Santos, you stop being mean over there. Except it was a fake out because Ray. This is why he veils face because he's a fucking liar in everything that he does. Oh, I wasn't really hurt. I have the crutch. Here's one for you, Umberto. Here's one for you, Angel. And then Santos, a man. Let me reiterate again with the crisp turned off. A man, a fucking
Can
man
I also
was
just say,
like,
I know Santos is the ultimate daddy, but I mean, seeing those three guys with their shirts off, Umberto has been fucking hitting the weights, man. That dude is fucking juiced.
fuck hot ones because this was muy caliente. All right, this was absolutely fantastic until Oscar showed up because of course he did because this fucking shriveled up prune ass bitch can't spend just 2 seconds away from the limelight or else he dies. And so he comes out and he's like getting up in Santos's face, and Santos again, a man, as we firmly established. That wasn't the only thing that was
Very
firm.
firmly.
Trust me. Yes, exactly.
Did you say
Um,
trust me or thrust me?
yes. Um, and so he goes to take a swing at Oscar to his face which again is veiled because he's ashamed and hideous. I don't know which one is worse yet.
Listen,
And
man, he's not
Santos,
ugly. He just looks like a child.
I've seen the pics on Google, okay, even when he was young. There,
Yeah,
that
he
is
looks like
some.
he's 11 years old at 50.
Yes. Yes. How does it feel to know you're going to be carded until the day you die, you piece of shit? Um,
I guess the gray goatee will fix that, but still.
yeah, and it causes a bunch of other problems in its wake. And so Carlito spits up Super Blue if you don't mind your face right now. And Carlito spits Apple in the face. 619, a bunch of other bullshit. Oh, there was a backstabber in there. That's appropriate for the LWO. I've never heard a more appropriate name in my life, quite honestly.
Yeah,
And then
imagine
he
being Ray and teaming with Carlito and Santos, and one of these dudes' finisher is literally called the Backstabber, and that's the one you side with. Jesus Christ.
Okay, I just want to say you're right, and I love you, but you lost me the moment you said imagine being Ray because I would never subject myself mentally to something so
I
fucking heinous.
apologize
Fuck,
for
no,
the
it's
emotional trauma that I caused you with that line.
no, it's okay. You're literally perfect. Again, love you, big fan. But yeah, fuck Oscar. And this isn't over. And I really look, and this is the one serious point, and I do want to clarify because I know when we have our fun, it's sometimes hard to tell. This is me putting my serious analyst voice on. I did enjoy this. I am still enjoying this feud. I am liking the undercard work on both shows because when we get to Raw, I think what I'm gonna praise the most and God, Sammy and Shinsuke was so good, but I really think I'm going to go out of my way to praise the street fight because that was fantastic from New Day and Imperium. So, tag team undercard is cooking right now, and it's a beautiful thing. But I will say this, man. They had Santos do one of those WWE.com exclusives, that get put up exclusively on YouTube. And Santos said that he was going to like just finish Ray and put him down. Ray's already a Hall of Famer. He's done everything there is to do. Now, obviously, it's up to him. We've seen a lot of guys in this business overstay their welcome. Ray would hardly be the first if he would go that same route. I'm kind of hoping this culminates in Santos retiring Ray. I mean, what a big fucking rub for a heel like that. I don't know if it's going to happen, but the way Santos talked about it and the way that they kind of build this story for Ray, like, oh, I heard him in such a way he's never coming back, and he does. We already know Sting's retiring tomorrow night. It feels like kind of that Twilight era for the next crop of like legends. If Ray really wanted to put a guy over, imagine Santos beats him, maybe Ray even leaves his mask in the ring, but then Santos comes back to collect it for like a promo that Friday night, like post Mania. You could do something here, man. I'm not saying they will, and I'm not even being scumbag and being like, oh yeah, I hope Santos ruins his life. I mean, I would love the heat for Santos, but it's just really got me thinking, like, is this Ray's last really big angle? And it would be appropriate because we know he's always tried to put over luchadors. I know when him and Andrade feuded a couple years ago, I think he really tried to put Andrade over the best he could with their matches. Ray obviously cares about the culture and the heritage. I think Santos would be a great candidate to retire Ray. And, like,
I
I
have a
just feel like
question.
yeah. What were we going to say?
Do you know about what Dominique thinks will happen here?
No.
Oh God, I got to tell you about this. So I was in a call with some of the boys on, I think it was Tuesday for NXT, um, and we were talking about because they, randomly on NXT sometimes they'll show highlights from previous shows or whatever.
Yes, yes.
I think I was even in the call last night for SmackDown. Yeah, I was. I was in the call last night for SmackDown. And I very, very distinctly remember Dom at one point saying that he wants Santos versus Ray in a hair versus mask match.
Yes. Yeah,
So that
I
Santos can
that,
get
yeah.
his beautiful locks cut off.
Dom, I love you. And I don't want you to take this in the worst way because this is the kind of stuff that sends people to therapy, but sometimes you are really hard to love, my man. I'm just being honest. It is real, it's a Herculean labor sometimes with the bullshit that comes out of your mouth. God
You
damn
sound
it.
like Beth, bro. Loving you is work.
I am old, I am tired, and I'm surrounded by children, apparently. Wow, Felonious. I guess we do agree on something. But no, I will, in all seriousness, outside of the ending, but then again, I could even see it because, of course, the babyface would win. I really do like that idea. I mean, here's the thing, though. could we survive the emotional damage if Santos got his head shaved? I'm just going to say no immediately. I think I would die. I think I would recede into myself and I would slowly die. And that would just be really sad for me. So we also have to think about that.
I
But I
think
do
that
think a hair versus mess.
Santos's attractiveness transcends his hair.
You know what? You're right, but it's still going to be a lot for me to deal with. I'll
Also,
get there.
speaking
I'll
of
get there.
attractiveness, can we just address the fact that we actually are witnessing the faction of the century as far as attractiveness goes? Like, you know you're doing well when the least attractive member of your faction is Angel Garza.
Yes. Yeah, that's honestly pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah,
What
that's
the
what I'm
hell?
saying.
I mean, talk about snacks. This is a whole fucking buffet line right here.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I mean, bro, like I am enjoying the feud, and again, in all sincerity, I wanted to give both teams their flowers. Like I'm loving that the undercard and specifically the tag team undercard again is really cooking. And speaking of tag teams, we have New Catch Republic, different from No Quarter Catch Crew, who we'll be talking about later in the show.
Oh, that's
They're
the new
like,
name for Bait and Done, right?
exactly. They go to Aldous and they're like, look, we know we lost, but give us another chance. And could you give it at WrestleMania? Yeah, because you deserve to be on the biggest show of the year after you lost at the last pay-per-view. Uh-huh. Real smart. Great logic. And yeah, Aldous says no. So, but he did tease that him and Pierce were talking about something with the tag team. So it could be a multi-tag title match at WrestleMania. And I feel like tag teams have been doing good work. So I'd be happy about
My
that.
mom did inform me today that she read that they are going to be splitting the tag titles at Mania.
Dude, I hope so. Cause like, if you're gonna do a draft and try once again for the umpteenth time, I don't even know what actual time we're up to at this point. Committing to a brand split and giving unique identities, especially with GMs, as solid. I was about to say compelling, but that might be a bridge too far. As solid as Pierce and Aldis, yeah, yeah, give them their own unique identities for God's sakes. So yeah, get two separate tag titles. So we don't know what's going on with that. But very quickly, because no one gives a shit, because he wasn't even on the show, and the lesser one, the worst one, was on the show. LA Knight has been hunting AJ Styles to give him the chair that AJ fucking blasted him with at Elimination Chamber. And newsflash, LA, nobody gives a shit until you win the feud with the stick up your ass. I really don't care. You're a mid Carter for life. You're a fucking chud ass. And yeah, I'm glad that AJ Styles almost damaged you enough to send you back to repairs on Wish.com. But unfortunately, he failed, and he's probably seething about it in slacks. God, those fucking slacks. But yeah, LA Knight cut a little promo on Aldis, who I love that he made a face like, am I supposed to be impressed? I'm not, which is absolutely the correct take when dealing with anything related to LA Knight. So we know that they're feuding, and I just want to offer my apologies to Alan. You've had such an amazing career, but I guess this is just another low point. It might even be the lowest point, and I remember Claire Lynch from TNA. Jesus fucking
This is
Christ.
not lower than that, I promise you.
In all sincerity, it's not lower than that. But still, I was really looking forward to you maybe having a compelling Mania match, Alan. I would have even preferred you wrestling the Slacks to try and make sure that they don't take over your mind completely. But you know what? If you have to let them take over just to annihilate this little shit, I'll allow it. I'll look the other way. Absolutely. Um, so yes, that's all I'm going to say about LA Knight because again, it's LA Knight. Why bother? What else from SmackDown to talk about? I feel like we're almost done the show as far as main points go because I will say too, guys, we missed again the last 20 minutes, and when it was mainly just Orton Theory and that whole thing, we know Logan Paul's going to be back next week. Orton even got in a match with Theory because him and Grayson Waller were watching Orton get knocked out. And he's like, oh, that's so funny. You know what's going to be even funnier? I'm going to beat the crap out of one of you guys. And then it just ended up being Theory and blah, blah, blah. The only other thing is apparently Lashley had a face-to-face with Karrion Kross. I did not see this either, but they're furthering that feud. I honestly feel bad for Lashley's faction. I was so excited for these guys, and I'll tell you, I feel the worst for like Ford and Dawkins. I feel like they'd be more relevant right now if they were just going after the tag titles. I feel like they're not really getting the steam that I was hoping they would. So I don't know. I'm not really vibing with this feud, but hopefully it just ends soon and we can get on to bigger and better things. And yeah, Orton beat Austin Theory and KO helped clean house afterwards. And yeah, it seems like the US title picture is going to be a little crowded. Do you have anything to say about any of this, or can we move on to Monday Night Raw?
Let's move on, but I will tell you right now, I don't remember much from Raw at all.
Okay, then we're gonna try and go through this quickly so that we can get to NXT. Becky and Rhea had a confrontation. I thought that that was pretty nice. Nia attacked Becky afterwards because she's pissy about Chamber. Yeah, well, maybe you shouldn't have fucking lost. Um, we get Sammy Shinsuke. This was one of the first like real high spots of Raw to me, guys.
Yeah.
I um I really thought that this match was fantastic. I thought Shinsuke and Sammy fucking cooked. I can't speak for anybody in our chat, but I really think that Shinsuke's in-ring work as a heel in this current run, especially in matches like this, has been fantastic. Also, Sammy, thank you for reminding literally every professional wrestler like ever what selling is. Cause God, I missed it. And it's funny because when you're a babyface, especially, and you sell, it's almost like I sympathize with you or something. It's almost like I root for you to succeed in spite of all your pain. And yeah, the finish was great because Sammy, I think, first hit like a kind of haluva kick to the back of the head, and then he hit another one like proper to Shinsuke, and that's how he got the pin. It was a physical matchup. Sammy really sold the win like it meant the world to him. Then he cuts like a backstage like interview type thing with Jackie, and fucking Imperium interrupts,
Yeah, I
and
was going to
Gunther
say,
like
I was actually just getting ready to say, do we think that Sammy is just Gunther's WrestleMania opponent?
yes and no, because I think Sammy won't be Gunther's only WrestleMania opponent. I
Right.
could see this being either a multi-man thing, or I'll tell you like this, Ashen. It's either going to be a multi-man thing, or if they decide a contender more formally, then yes, Sammy will be his WrestleMania opponent, I think. I will just, keep
Right,
that
like
plain.
if
And the other
multiple
is,
people pile up and rather than having them all challenge at the same time, they have them face each other to determine one challenger, that would be Sammy.
yes. Yes. And but yeah, Sammy, I think he's looking great. I would have loved to have seen him in the world heavyweight title picture, but you know what? I'd rather him get an organic story than like a contrived one. And honestly, Drew's cooking right now. We'll get to Drew in a little bit. But the only reason I mentioned multi-man is because just to kind of tie all this together, Chad Cable has a segment with Pierce, and Pierce had actually gotten off the phone with Bronson Reed, and I think Bronson Reed was also inquiring about the Intercontinental title. So Gunther's got a lot of people gunning for him, and Gable said, "Look, for a lot of guys, it's about a championship. For me, it's so much more because he reminds us, hey, listen, Gunther, he made my daughter cry. He humiliated me and he questioned me, as a father. Like I take that very personally. I like Gable. I want to see him get his due. I fucking love Sammy too, though. But like the funny thing is, even though I love Sammy and I want more for him, I've told people, and Javaris and Foster can vouch for me on this. I have said I would prefer Gable as IC champion only because I've seen the best work that Sammy's going to do as Intercontinental champion as a heel. I think his heel IC title run, especially when he retained the title at that one night of champions in that ladder match using handcuffs, I'm like, this dude's fucking peak. Like, I just, I really don't want to see him with the IC title again. I think Gable has earned it because Sammy at least has been an NXT champion, Intercontinental champion, like an undisputed tag team champion with KO. Literally, all Gable has had is tag titles. He has never had a singles title ever. And like, yeah, I'm ready for him to eat. The guy's 37 years old. He's still competing at a great level. Like, let's fucking do it. So that's the Intercontinental title picture. For now, anyway, because I think it even piled up even more because to keep talking about Imperium, Gunther comes out. They cut a promo. He does put Jay over. He acknowledges that Jay really took him to the limit and that Gunther even said, bro, if you want to know how confident this dude is as champion, and he's like, it's not going to hurt me to put another dude over. He straight up said about his match with Jay that he got lucky. Like, I really respected the hell out of him for putting Jay over like that because Jay, I don't think necessarily needed it because the crowd still got his back, but it really doesn't hurt when one of your top fucking heels in the company is like, hey, you're good. And I really like that because it doesn't make Gunther look any worse because it's fucking Gunther. Um, so they're talking about the future, and I love this too from Gunther's promo. He acknowledges all the names that have been floating around online and what we've been saying. Is it going to be Gable? Is it going to be so and so? And I think he's getting ready to say like something, but then the Judgment Day come out because of course the titles they have aren't enough. Um, and yeah, they come out and they pretty much say, like, oh, we're coming for the Intercontinental title. And of the whole pack, first of all, Gunther had a great line. He's like, so which one is it going to be? Is it going to be you? Is it going to be him? Is it going to be the guy with the weird head over there? Referring to JD. I love that. Took me out. Dom is the one that steps up. And I like, again, I remember Javaris and I think Dom might have been there or Sean. We were all laughing our asses off this is the funniest fucking shit. I mean, god damn, this was hilarious. I mean, Gunther, goddamn fucking Gunther, and this child comes in who eats chicken tendies, comes in and is like, Gunther, I went to prison. Now I'm gonna beat you up. Okay. I'm pretty sure Gunther has taken shits bigger than you, dude. Take a number and get in the fucking back of the line. But yeah, I did even Rhea in character. Judgment Day go backstage after the segment because it almost comes to blows because Gunther like gets Priest all riled up, but Priest ain't gonna do anything. I mean, he still has that freaking contract. All he does is see the need offense, seemingly. But they go to the back, and Rhea's even like, Dom, Gunther, seriously? And Dom trying to play cool would be like, Mommy, relax. I got this. No, you don't. Don't lie to her. Don't lie to her and don't lie to us, you little shit. Um, so then Finn's like, oh man, because Finn's actually, he's got sense. And he's like, oh, you might want to go and smooth that over with Rhea. And he's like, oh yeah, you're right. You're right. So let me do that. And he's going and he sees Andrade and he's actually cool with Andrade. Doesn't start any beef. He's like, oh, it's good to see you, man. And maybe I'll see you around. And then Andrade, because Dom is so like fucking thick, he just doesn't understand anything.
Oh,
Andrade's like,
that
oh,
kind of thick.
actually,
You mean thick like dense?
yes, exactly. Good catch there because I realize now thick has gotten so far away from everything and now it's found its proper place. When talking about that girth, yo. But no, Andrade's like, I'm gonna see Pierce to talk about my first Raw match, so I'll see you later. And Dom might actually be my funniest wrestler right now. It's either him or Jimmy Uso because Dom is like, I don't know, maybe. Dude, listen to what he just fucking told you. I'm gonna say to Pierce that I want to fight you first. I don't know. I mean, maybe I'll see you around. I guess. Hate you. Hate you. Um, so Andrade's kind of smirking because he's like, wow, this is going to be easier than I fucking thought. I made it on the right brand. If this guy gets all this TV time, I beat him. I want to be challenging Seth before I fucking know it. Or is he? And I only say that because, well, actually, no, I'm getting ahead of myself. I wanted to talk about DM Hunk because who doesn't want to talk about DM Hunk? But I already talked about Imperium. Let's talk about this fucking street fight, y'all. Oh my God. This was amazing. This for a PG era, for an era that's not going to do excessive blood or anything like that, AEW take notes. The spots these guys did in this without a single drop of blood, at least not deliberately. I don't know if anybody got accidentally like busted open anywhere. This was fantastic. Oh my God. These two teams have been doing great work like the past month. I have felt the animosity, I have felt the intensity. Thank you, Javaris. I was wondering what you guys thought about it. Cause yeah, I'm sitting here and I'm like, these guys are fucking cooking. Javaris said it perfectly. That street fight fucking cooked. You're damn right it did. It was a full course goddamn meal as far as I'm concerned. Now I don't know if I lose you guys personally on this. I feel like this match made Kaiser and Vinci. I think they needed this so bad because for so long to me, Imperium was just Gunther and the other two guys. But after this, like I'm looking at Judgment Day and I'm like, you're so focused on the tag team titles, or excuse me, on the Intercontinental title. I got my stuff mixed up. But like you're looking at the new number one contenders to me for the tag team titles. Like these guys absolutely earned the next title shot with this win. I thought the spots were inspired. I love the psychology because the crowd, of course, was chanting for tables. So Imperium Kaiser pulls one out at one point, only to slide it back under the apron. And I clapped when I saw this because I'm like, oh man, that is so good. It's the little fucking things. But then New Day get the table out later, so they get the pop. There were kendo sticks, I think. And I think there might have been like a trash can lid or a cookie sheet. I mean, they did so much. And dude, the fucking finish. So, New Day, I think they tried to get the midnight hour. Kofi gets shoved off the top rope through the table that was set up on the outside. And it's a sick bump. Kofi, God damn it. I don't know why I keep getting those two mixed up when one is so much superior to the other. Love you, Kofi. But Kofi sells it like death. He's done. And then Xavier, who I have gone on record and I have said has the best fucking cry face in the business. I mean, this dude sells pain like he is in it constantly. To which I might say, Xavier, mood. And so he gets blasted in the fucking face with like the lid or the sheet or whatever it was. Then they grab him and they throw him into the ring post, but there's a chair wedged in the turnbuckle, so his head cracks the chair. I even worried he might have been concussed because the impact sounded sick. And then they pin him 1, 2, 3. Mark even said, by current standards, this was one of the more brutal street fights he's seen. And I got to tell you, it wasn't even that long ago we saw Shinsuke and Cody in a street fight. This was so much better than that was. One, because it had 100% less Cody, which never hurts.
Of
But
course.
like, it whereas Shinsuke and Cody felt like it dragged on too long, this ended at the right time. This was a feud that I think from start to finish had the perfect rhythm, and you understood why they were staying in it because it wasn't just about trading wins. These people were out for fucking blood because you took one of mine. It was gangster shit. It was gangster shit. It was one of my favorite Malcolm X quotes when he talked about resisting, clan violence with violence. He said, "We got to tell them, you send one of ours to the hospital, we'll send one of yours to the morgue." That was the mentality. You took out my guy, I'm taking out your whole team. I loved it. And again, I think Kaiser and Vinci needed this so desperately, and like they got it. And New Day, I don't think hurts for it because if anything, even though it's in defeat, we're reminded how fucking good they are and how much of a gift and a credit they have been to tag team wrestling in WWE for like the past 10 years, it feels like. This was great. If you haven't seen this, guys, if anybody in our chat hasn't seen this, go back and watch this because I genuinely put this in my match of the year list. And this just solidified for me that right now, Imperium versus New Day is my front runner for feud of the year. And it was a tag team feud in WWE post Vince. I mean, it shows good things can happen. I just wish less shitty people were running the fucking company. So yeah, that was fantastic. What else? Let me just go through because I have the recap thing pulled up. Raquel beat Chelsea, and that made me sad. Nothing more to say there. Again, the two big things I want to talk about were Shinsuke and Sammy, which I did, and the street fight, which I just got done doing. Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark won a quick match against Candice and Indy. Props to Indy because once Shayna got the Kirifuda clutch on her, she tapped out immediately. Really put that submission over. I fucking loved it. Liv Morgan faced Nia. Liv got a little bit of development because Becky did interfere to kind of give Nia a receipt for attacking her at the beginning of the night. And then backstage, Becky said, like, I want Nia next week. And she got it. So we know next week on Raw, it's going to be Becky versus Nia again. But Liv afterwards said, that was my business out there. Not everything is about you. This led to Liv fans and Becky fans arguing online. And I'm like, can anybody just enjoy a story anymore? Can anybody just let a story happen? I don't think Liv is worse for this. I don't think Becky's worse for this. In fact, what's been floating around on Twitter is stuff from Becky's upcoming autobiography where she cites WrestleMania as an example when she faced Shayna and she wanted Shayna to go over and she got denied. So Becky can only do so much, okay? Just let these women cook. I personally like that Liv is actually getting the longer form story because it shows that they're taking this whole revenge angle more seriously than I would have given them credit for. To just end it at WrestleMania, it's like, yeah, I mean, it would have been fine and all, but if you're gonna say have this book and say it's SummerSlam, cool. I'd fucking love that personally. Let's just let it play out. Now, I know I've said that at things before and things don't work out, but in this case, it's not about whether things work out or not. It's just let Becky do her job and let Liv do hers and stop taking everything so goddamn seriously. So yeah, that interaction happened. I don't know if it's going to mean a Liv heel turn or if her and Becky feud down the road, but I'm excited to see whatever happens. Now, let me just see before I talk about the last thing that actually matters. Oh yeah, Cody beat Grayson Waller, and then he had a whole thing with Paul Heyman where he takes out security at the end. I don't give a shit. Cody Rhodes fucking sucks. I hate that we have to suffer through this goddamn crap every goddamn week. But you know what we can talk about, people? We can talk about the savior of WrestleMania, the potential savior of the World Heavyweight title, DM Hunk. My God, he comes out, this courageous man who said that, he went into the chamber and we already knew, he said, if I don't win the chamber, my whole journey will have been as pointless as CM Punk's return to WWE. I mean, correct on all counts. He won it. And now addressing us on his victory, he says, we did it. And by the way, he high-fived the fans when he came out. Totally evil, clearly. Totally a hypocrite because Who doesn't love the people that's also a bad guy? I mean, that's obviously so normal. So yeah, he said, we did it, giving us the credit when it's like, no, you mountain of handsome and talent. It was all you the whole time. And I know Logan Paul tried to take credit too, but fuck you. Um, and he said, look, you don't achieve success alone. He thanked the fans for praying. And he said, because of you, this happened. And he said he can't wait to face Seth at WrestleMania. And he said, look, he was dealing with a serious injury inside that chamber because he flew to Australia, right? And we know what a flight that is. He had his eardrum burst and he was suffering jet lag on top of it. Doctors told him he was hurt and there was a chance he could miss WrestleMania. And Drew, with all of his fire and tenacity, he looked at that doctor and he said, quote, who do you think I am? CM Punk? Nothing is going to make me miss WrestleMania. And if an eagle would have descended, I would have believed it. I had a single tear rolling down my cheek when he said that. I'm like, this is healthy masculinity personified. What a man. And then, as we're being talked to by our future world heavyweight champion, God willing, we get interrupted by Sethington, and he comes out, and Drew says, "Listen, and I'm gonna do the cliff notes here. Mind your fucking business. Let the Cody and the Bloodline stuff. It's not about you, okay? It's not about you. If you get too involved in that, they're gonna retaliate. They're gonna get involved in our match, and they are gonna taint my victory." And once again, as is per everything that's been emanating from his face for the last couple months, Druseth is 1000% correct. And I wish Sethward would listen to him, but he doesn't, because instead, Seth is like, oh, but there are things bigger than the title. There are things bigger than us. And, when my daughter was born, I learned that. Oh, well, thank you for telling us that childbirth is the only surefire way to cultivate any sense of empathy. You're clearly the hero that I'm rooting for, unlike Drew, who's had to fight through everything just to get a third opportunity at you, which
Such
he
a
had you.
conservative fucking take. Jesus Christ.
Dude, right? Right? And meanwhile, you know what Drew does to get ready for the day? He high fives his cat Chaz and he gets their teeth brushed. Like, and you're asking me to root for you, Seth. Oh my god, get the fuck out of here. So he says, like, oh, we've got to fight the bloodline because, they'll come for you eventually if we don't deal with it now. And Seth is just doing all this fear mongering, and I'm like, listen, Roman Reigns ain't bother a damn person. He minds his own business. He just wants to be acknowledged, and then that's it. And Seth's out here stirring up the hornet's nest because it's got to be about him. Seth, you have a problem. Drew is trying to help you. Accept the help. But yeah, he leaves Drew to contemplate that. I was honestly hoping Drew would attack him again. So I just want to reaffirm my commitment to the Drew McIntyre World Heavyweight title reign. This man is literally perfect. He has not lied to us once because, as I told you all a while back, when you're handsome, you can't lie. It is physically impossible. The face tells all. So I haven't seen his face be violently contorted with anything coming out of his mouth. So clearly, it must all be true. And I'm supposed to side with Seth, a man that's literally betrayed people, a man that's actually been a sociopath in some of his, creative decisions, like taking another man's eye out. I'm supposed to believe that this man has been redeemed because birth, though. Fuck you. That's not happening. So Drew McIntyre for world champion. That's all I've got to say about that. And I would appreciate not being challenged because I'm right. So, with Raw now in the books, we can move on to NXT. And my beautiful friend, I would love to reintroduce you into the conversation because the only reason I did that galloping was because you said that, have fun. And I didn't want to put you on the spot with anything. Did you watch NXT?
I did.
You did. So we can reintroduce you into the conversation. We don't have to go into chronological order. This is purely conversational. So, how about I pick a topic, but then I would like to get your thoughts first on it. Let's just talk about the thing that you kind of put out into the universe and I gave you credit for on Rocket League. How do we feel about the Tony D'Angelo main event push?
I'm not surprised by it. I don't hate it, but I don't love it. I'm a little like, it feels like a toe dip to me. It feels like they're dipping their toe into the water to see how the crowd responds to it. I don't expect him to win the title. I fully feel like this story still very much revolves around Ilya, Trick, and Mello. Tony D is kind of like, well, We need somebody to go after the title while Trick and Mello settle their shit. So let's introduce somebody that we might want to be a future main eventer, dip their toe, see how the crowd responds, get an idea of how it feels, and then if it works out, then later on we can put the title on him.
Wow. I mean, that was a speed run of absolutely salient points. I'm impressed. I've really got nothing to add. I will just say, as somebody that I do consider myself a Tony D'Angelo fan, um, it's weird for me because on one hand, I am happy to see them experimenting with him, but even from the tag matches we've seen recently from him, I feel like he hasn't evolved that much in the ring. Like I feel like from the first episode we saw him on in NXT to now, he's probably tightened up some stuff, but I haven't really seen like those marked improvements. You know what I mean? Where it's almost like, wow, what did I miss because he got this good? Like literally watching Mina Shirakawa from year to year. I don't get that impression. I don't know if Tony D feels like a main event guy to me. And again, I say this as a fan. I do enjoy his spot right now. I do enjoy what he's doing, but I got to be honest and I got to be realistic. I don't know. But again, I think I even said last week, once you experimented with gender, all bets are off. In my mind, I'm cool with you experimenting with anybody. I may not like it, but hell, like I'd rather you do it. And if you're experimenting with Tony D'Angelo, you could do far worse. So I'm curious how it's all going to work out. But I think you said everything perfectly. Um, how do you feel about Gallows and Anderson in NXT? Because man, does this just feel like they're admitting they don't know what to do with these guys? So let's just stick you on NXT to work with the tag champions for a little bit. Or am I being too harsh
Yeah.
there?
No, no. It really just feels like they would love to just let these guys walk, but they would feel bad about it for some reason, or maybe they're like locked into contracts and they don't feel like they can just like let them loose off the contracts because maybe it's like a what's it called, sunk cost fallacy kind of thing, where like they're paying
Sunken
these
cost
guys,
fallacy, yeah.
yeah, like they're paying these guys way too much to just not use them, so they're trying to figure out anything to do with them, and this is what they've arrived at. So yeah, that's definitely the vibe.
Yeah, yeah. Um, I they're not even bad in the ring. Like I actually thought their stuff in the ring looked good. I mean, the match with the No Fan Blade was solid. I don't like though that we didn't get any what is it, Brinley or Rinley? I think it's Brinley,
It's
right? I
Brinley, yeah.
It's Brinley. We didn't get any follow-up with Brinley this week. I don't like that because I feel like they should have had, after that loss, Brinley meet up with them. I was a bit curious that they didn't do that. Um, and so, yeah, like that's just what kind of perplexed me is like, okay, you had these guys lose, and it was against like a very established tag team, clearly. But like, do that follow-up, have that continuity. Come on, NXT. I'm really liking you now. Like, don't fumble the bag. Um, so, we do that. That's cool. That's whatever. We already know too that fucking Chase U are the number one contenders with Andre Chase and Duke Hudson. And yeah, that's another thing. Like Gallows and Anderson, they do confront the champs like in a backstage segment, but before that, after they beat a No Fan Blade, they get jumped by all the other tag teams. Axiom and Frazier. LWO showed up. I mean, God, clearly, I guess you feel like Santos is well in hand now that Oscar's back. Really audacious of you, actually. And Chase U just all like kind of clear the ring of them. So I think they're trying to show that the tag team division is hot, but I don't know. I'm still waiting for some things to come together. Um, and so yeah, that's just whatever. After that, we get Jakara Jackson and Roxanne Perez. I gotta say, too, man, rough night for the metaphor. Jakara Jackson, she loses this again to the crossface submission. I love that Roxanne's been using that. It looks fucking good. Um, and the whole reason they had this match was because, again, Roxanne's kind of ranting and spiraling in her own face, like, why didn't I get the NXT Women's Championship match? And then Jakara comes in bragging about how Lash handled business and how good she looked last week, which she did. And then, well, I mean, Roxanne clearly didn't like that at all. And she's like, oh, those are fighting words. Fuck you. And that's how we had this match. It was okay, but I think we all knew that Roxanne was winning. She did in pretty convincing fashion, as we're just trying to get this big Lyra Roxanne match for Stand and Deliver. Um, Anything you want to say about this?
It feels like we're already kind of creeping towards what you and I were talking about what you kind of originally started hinting towards with the potential of Lyra kind of accepting Tatum. It's like she's accepting her without admitting that she's accepting her yet, you know?
Yes, because I'm so glad, dude, that you brought this up because we have Lyra's segment. She promises Shotzi, hey, when you come back, like I'll be here and you'll get your title match. She gives credit to Lash because Lash, she's fucking awesome, future star for sure. But she says she can't believe it. Tatum Paxley held up her end of the bargain. And she said, so Tatum, come on out. Let me give you your surprise. And I'm like, okay, this is one of the angles that I'm really into, so much so that if you guys remember on a previous week in review, I said that these two, Tatum and Lyra, excuse me, could be my on-screen relationship of the year
Yeah.
based on how it goes. Now, I'll admit this segment for me a little bit. Sometimes Tatum, it can be a bit much, but she's like, "Oh, Lyra, my sweet dove," and I'm like, oh man, we're not even starting at zero. Tatum's just bringing all the energy there, and she's like, "Oh, it was so difficult," and then to see Lash come out and like, I guess just Tatum just conveying her anxiety, having to sit and watch all this happen. Um, but Lyra's like, but see, I'm still the champion. See, like it all worked out. And Ham's like, absolutely. And I would do anything for you, Lyra. I know, crazy. I know. And so what I got for you, and see, this is what both fascinates me and confounds me a little bit, but not so much to even be like a nitpick if we were still doing Heat of the Night. She got them a women's tag team championship match. And it's going to be them versus Asuka and Kyrie at Roadblock next week.
Yep.
And on one hand, I'm like, that's really cool and interesting. But on the other hand, I'm like, you literally just said for Valentine's Day what you wanted to get this woman was restraining and order. Kind of that play on words there, because I think whatever like Tatum said her gift was, that's what Lyra responded, keeping that same energy. So we go from restraining order to hey, let's be so close, we're tag team champions together. What is this woman to you, woman? Like, tell me, explain things to me. But no, I think there is going to be a major development in the story come stand and deliver, and hell, there might even be a major development next week at Roadblock. But yeah, I'm still very much enjoying it. Then we get just an interruption here, right? And God, I'm blanking on his Ridge Holland. I almost had a brain fart. I was going to ask you what his name was because that's who he is, I guess.
Yeah, that's 100% fair. Totally
I
understand.
love that you offer for me mentally declining. That's great. Thank you.
I
But
don't
we're
think
just
you're
like,
mentally declining.
well, I should have remembered Ridge's name. He's in kind of one of the more prominent stories seemingly on NXT. But yeah, he's like, ladies, if you don't mind, I've got something I'd like to say, which felt like kind of a douche thing. Like you're interrupting women and like that's not cool, but
Yeah.
whatever. Um, but yeah, yeah, thank you, Foster. Thank you, Foster, because I felt the same way. And I know, Foster, you appreciated my analysis in the Discord, I think like a week or two ago, where I said, like, Ridge's character seemingly is he, I don't even mean in the psychological sense of like mental illness, but like he dissociates emotionally between who he thinks he is and his anger. But like it's all one person. There is no Jekyll and Hyde. There's only Ridge. It's just Ridge all the way down. And what's even more is that when Ridge gets angry and he feeds that anger, it gets him results because he took out Gallus, he took out Ilya. I still hated that they fucking did that. But like in kayfabe, it works, right? Because it's like, oh wow, look at me, I'm so threatening, I'm Ridge Holland. But he doesn't want to accept this side. I guess he wants to find a way to win without being that angry. But it's like you've got this internal conflict in you. And unfortunately, this internal conflict is going to be a part of a bigger story because this led to the return of Sean Spears.
This was so lame. I like they've really been building up these like super cryptic phrases for this motherfucker.
I really thought it was Bo Dallas. I want to apologize to anyone when I mentioned that it could have been Bo Dallas because I swear to you, the video I saw, it was like they were using same font. I'm like, oh, Bo is just returning to NXT. That's really fucking cool. R.I.P. Bray. Fucking love you guys. And I was getting ready to like at least give my heart to it, even if I had problems with it. But it's fucking shot. And you know what's funny to me? He comes out and I had the weirdest thing happen watching this because it just reminded me how much I liked Ty Dillinger when he grew on me, like when he was committed as a full babyface. And I'm like, you're just never going to be that over again to me. Like, at the very least, with me personally, you're never going to be as over as when you were babyface perfect 10, Ty Dillinger. Um, and I love that, like, he took a little bit of AEW with him because how does he reintroduce himself? Using a chair on Rich Hall. Get it? Get it? Because he was the chairman in AEW. Ah, oh God. So yeah, that's what we're doing, and I hate it. Yeah, I hate it. And he says in kind of this creepy tone and rhythm in a promo, like, "Oh, I like Ridge, but he needs to face the truth. He needs to accept it." And like what? The truth that he is angry. Like, so you're trying to help Ridge in your own war. See, the funny thing is, bro, I get what you mean about gimmicks versus people. Because if this gimmick is, I want people to accept the truth, but it's almost like Jigsaw esque, where it's like I want to put them through like copious amounts of torture and agony to do it. That's a fascinating gimmick to me. You're not the guy to pull it off. Just the same way that Joe Gacy, like this idea of crazy, I fucking hate it. I don't like this. Sean Spears doesn't come with that quiet menace. I think the guy that did both Kevin Thorne and Mordecai, if you would have given him something like this, that would have been more believable to me than freaking Sean Spears. This did not come off well to me. It came off well to the crowd, to be fair, because there were holy shits and they seemed into it, and so I got to report it as it happened. But for me personally, yeah, this was a dud. I'm like, how long is this even going to last? Like a year? But yeah. Foster said, I like this, but I feel like I shouldn't. You do whatever you want because you're fucking beautiful, and I will protect you with my life if anybody tries criticizing you for liking this. We respect all opinions, even fucking Lexus King stands, because I'm pretty sure they're out there. Which, by the way, Lexus King, he faced fucking Von Wagner in this. He lost, but only after Robert Stone ate the I forget what he calls the fucking finisher, the arm trap neck breaker. Who gives a shit? God, Lexus King sucks, bro. That's the thing. NXT is good, but they really need to get rid of some of these shitters. Like if I woke up tomorrow and I read a report that Joe Gacy, Lexus King, and I'm sure there are a couple of Sean Spears, even though he just got here. Like they're gone. I'd be like, wow, addition by subtraction, yay! But yeah, I don't get it at all. So Lexus King is doing that. I still haven't fully given up the idea of Robert Stone like going with Lexus King, even though it looks kind of absurd now because Von Wagner just kind of stood and watched as Robert Stone ate Lexus King's finisher. I'm like, dude, move. What are you doing? Um, and because I don't want to give you things that suck to talk about because I love your face too much to like mire you in boredom and suck. I'm going to hand you this because I thought this was pretty good. And then I'll take over again for the post match because, again, that's when it goes back to suck a little bit. What did you think about Dijak versus Luca? Because I like this.
I don't remember watching this one actually. I might have been out of the room for this one.
Damn.
Sorry.
Uh, no, it's look, I just want you to know I'm trying to look out for you, and it's okay. I'm just glad you were honest. I thought this was hard hitting. I thought Luca looked great, man. I like him. I think he's what the family needs. If he's trying to get in, like, yeah, if he's going to be kind of a heavy or whatever, which is funny because Tony's already a thick boy. I'm all for it. I'm all for it. And so yeah, they go back and forth. It's pretty physical, but Dijak does ultimately win with Feast Your Eyes. After the match, though, fucking Luca hits Dijak with a crowbar when Dijak's distracted by, of course, Joe Gacy. Now, I'm hoping that this feud ends next week at Roadblock because I really just want to put it definitively in for my worst feud of the year so far, and it's only March. So, way to cover that ground, everybody. Real proud of you. Because I don't know, I'm guessing you didn't see this if you were out of the room for this. Their match next week at Roadblock. Because, by the way, Dijak was ranting to Ava to do her goddamn job and do something because he's tired of this. And I personally don't blame him in this case. He won the matchup, and Gacy's still been antagonizing him. What kind of show are you running here? And Gacy attacks him again, and they're doing an asylum match next week. And I just cannot wait to see what hokey carny bullshit that this is going to be. Um, If you do it cinematic style, it might have promise, but even then, it's going to be killed because it's Joe Gacy, and I don't care. Uh,
Yeah, Joe Gacy makes literally everything not less interesting, but just straight up uninteresting. Like you could find the most interesting thing in the world, and Gacy wouldn't just drag it down a little bit; he would drag it to zero.
yeah. Completely the antithesis of your face, like that.
Thank you.
Yeah, that. He sucks so bad. But yeah, that's happening. I feel bad for Dijak. He deserves so much better than this. I think my heart is actually starting to crack seeing him on screen with this piece of shit. Um, so that happened. Then we get okay, so I like tying everything together. So I'm not even necessarily going in chronological order. I'm going fucking everywhere. I am saving the Heritage Cup for last though, because that was pretty fucking sweet. What do I talk about next? Let me actually go back a bit because I think I actually did miss something important on this show I wanted to talk about. Did I though? Maybe I didn't. Maybe we're still doing okay. But the next thing I did want to talk about was this story seemingly with Ariana Grace. Now, Foster, Foster, this is where I need you, okay? I know we've had our disagreements mainly about Santos, which I'll admit I still don't understand, but I don't need to. I just need to respect it, and I need to respect the face that it emanated from, which is your face. But I know we both have the back of Ariana Grace, who is trying to be the unifier of NXT. So to give context for this, we see Lyra and Tatum studying the Kabuki Warriors. They're not wasting any time. They're like, let's go, let's do it. And Ariana is like, why do you want to do that? Why do you want to fight? And like that was kind of bizarre to me at first because I'm like, do you know where you are? But then they explain to her like we want to be champions. And then Jada Parker gets involved, who has a match with Gigi Dolan later. But she's like, what's Ariana's deal? Like she's weird. And Ariana keeps trying to make her case for peace that, ladies, we have to solve our conflicts peacefully. And Ariana said something about I'd rather have a championship than some, garbage crown, or just she insulted her crown, to which Ariana had one of the best deliveries since fucking Stephanie Tanner of how rude I've ever heard in my life. I popped hard for this, harder than I should have, because I too have problems. So she's like, "How rude," and she kind of leaves, and then Lyra's like, "Fighting is what we do, Ariana," and then Ariana's like, but not unless someone changes it. And that's when she's getting ready to be that one that changes it. So how does she get started? Well, it's very simple. When Gigi Dolan is wrestling Jada Parker, because
Yes.
Gigi Dolan needs a fucking win somewhere, sometime. Unfortunately, it's not going to be tonight
No. GG is the
because
new Dakota Kai. If not
yeah.
worse, because I think even Dakota got to beat lower level girls every now and then.
Now listen, I know a lot of people, especially Gigi Dolan fans, probably want to just make Ariana just send her into the ether, but she's doing something wonderful. She comes out. She's like, ladies, please stop fighting. And then Gigi Dolan. I know Chris probably isn't picking it up, but I'm dying. I literally I can't keep it together. Gigi Dolan for the second straight time because that's become her new thing apparently. She looks at Ariana for 2 seconds and she's like, "What's your problem?" She has the same of Roxanne. I know that made us both up, so it's just Gigi's thing. She looks at people and she asks what their problem is. She asks what's your problem. They go back and forth a little more. Then Ariana gets on the apron and she's like, please, please, just stop fighting, please, ladies. And then Gigi gets distracted. She gets hit with a jumping forearm from Jada. Jada beats Gigi. Now, I will say, I like Ariana. I even said about Ariana that she might make my fave five. This might be the new guilty pleasure, and unlike Dominic Mysterio, it might actually stick for the long term because I don't know what the fuck they are doing with this woman or what this story is supposed to be. But color me intrigued that this woman is going to be what? A pacifist? I don't know. But poor Gigi, man. God damn it. Like, from Hell's favorite harlot to this. Now, I don't have a problem with Jada, but let's keep it 100, right? Jada is still very green. She's still learning things. There is no way in hell that Gigi should be losing to somebody, even in kayfabe, because I think this is only Jada's second singles match. Should not be losing to her. So I really feel bad for Gigi. But do I love what Ariana's doing? Yes. And let me just read this message from Foster. She just wants to make cinnamon rolls with everyone and be friends. Why is she being hurt like this? And again, Foster with the correct take. I think we should all just make peace with Ariana and more importantly, make peace with each other. I'm rooting for this woman. I am. I think her mission, it's bold, it's ridiculous, but she can do it. Let's get it done. Um and so yeah, that was that segment. I'm guessing Gigi's gonna want to face Ariana. We'll see what Ariana does. Watch her beat Gigi because she chooses peace. Maybe like Gigi misses wildly with a forearm or something, and Ariana just rolls her up and roll up of Doom strikes again. I don't know. Like I'm not expecting Gigi to get any wins anytime soon. So I'm just thinking like how are they gonna do this? So that was that. Can we get to the main event already? Are we there? I feel like I'm missing something potentially important. Oh, I will say Obafemi, the God King of the universe.
Of course.
He was like, "Oh, Ava, who's my next challenger?" He has a stare down with Ilya that looks amazing, and that's why I'm probably forgetting because we already did talk about Ilya and Tony. Not really much to talk about there. Carmelo did stand tall to end the show. He's gonna face Tony next week. Winner goes to fucking stand and deliver. Cool. So we've already established that. Nothing more to say there. But Oba's next challenger may well be Jensen, Brooks Jensen. Yeah.
I just, it's as long as he doesn't win, fine, whatever. I mean, it's weird that they are just throwing. I don't want to call Jensen a shitter. He's not a shitter, but like, because he's a definite step up from Lexus King. We've got to give him at least
Yeah.
that credit, right? But like, he's not several steps above Lexus King. Let's also be honest about that.
Yeah. Dude, here's the thing. You know that I even gave Brooks Jensen a lot of credit last week. But here's the thing, and let me add some needed context. I wasn't saying, oh, he had a great match. Let's just put him right in there with Obafemi for the North American title.
Yeah.
I wanted this dude to struggle to find himself, but ultimately happen upon something and then maybe get a few wins. And then if you wanted to put him in there with Oba, I honestly wouldn't care. This dude's going to eat everybody anyway. No, don't prolong the inevitable. But to just immediately do it, it's like, come on. Like, if you're doing it for Roadblock, fine, but stand and deliver. And you know what? Maybe that is the plan, bro. Maybe that is the plan. Maybe he just goes through Jensen so fucking easily, and then stand and deliver. He gets the Hoss and Briggs. In fact, I'm even going to make that prediction right now. I think it's Jensen at Roadblock, Briggs at stand and deliver
That'd be
because
cool. I would like
it's
that.
always yeah, it's always going to be the story of Briggs is just one step above Jensen in everything that they do, and that I can vibe with.
Which is
Um,
generous to Jensen because in reality, Briggs is several steps above him talent wise.
yeah, yes, yes, indeed. So I can't think of anything else that there is talking about NXT. I think we canvassed the whole show.
I want to just
Uh,
check and make 100% sure while you talk about what you were about to talk
oh
about.
no, of course the main event, the
Right.
Heritage Cup. Oh my God,
Oh,
congratulations!
well, that was the
Yeah,
main event match, but
yeah, the
there
main
was
event
a
match.
segment that happened after that.
Well, yes, and the main event segment, we already kind of gave like that a cursory glance. We know the big
Right.
things that are happening. It's Carmelo and Tone, so there's not much more to say. But Charles, congratulations,
Yes.
new Heritage Cup champion. So now,
You call him
okay,
Charles now? That's new.
I mean, look, we're all sophisticated and we carry ourselves. I wore a suit once.
It's kind of funny
Um,
though because he doesn't even have like the proper British accent like his father.
I know. But I mean that mop of hair though. I mean that's straight from his daddy. Because I remember 2008 William Regal when he let that hair loose.
Hell
Um,
yeah.
but uh, but no man. You know what? Before we even talk about no quarter catch
Did
crew,
wait,
and I
before
love
we
it.
even talk about that, did we talk about Von Wagner beating Lexus King?
Yeah, we did. Because I
Oh, okay.
mentioned too that I still could see Robert Stone leaving Von Wagner because Von Wagner in the post match just watched as Robert Stone ate Lexus King's finisher, which I think he calls the coronation or some shit.
Yeah.
That just the fucking arm trap neck breaker. But yeah, Von Wagner won because Stone interfered. So that's the second match that King has lost because of interference. So I don't know, suck significantly less actually.
He's got a
Um,
long way to go.
he does. He really does. But I wanted to ask you something. Um, as a fan of the metaphor, you have been taken up for these guys. I think it's even because of you that I started paying more attention to these guys when I was watching NXT. I'm like, oh, it's the metaphor. I know Ashton really likes these guys. So they lost their Heritage Cup. Jakara lost in the same night to Roxanne. Lash lost last week. They're going through it. but they're also incredibly talented and incredibly likable. Do we think they're losing as kind of a catalyst for a babyface turn, or do you think they're going to double down on being douchebags? I know normally we've already kind of established you don't necessarily like predicting questions, but just as a metaphor fan, like what kind of a vibe are you getting from the fact? Maybe they do you think they could get called up potentially even? Like, what do you see happening for them? If you have anything to contribute on that.
It would be really incredible if they got called up as a unit via the draft. That would be perfect, but I kind of doubt it happens. I
Yeah,
think it's more likely that Dar just kind of tries at least to do what he did last time. He quote unquote lost the Heritage Cup, which is act unhinged, act as if he never lost it, pretend that he never lost it, and use that unhingedness as a way to leverage his way back into a title shot again, which we'll probably see at Stand and Deliver, if I had to guess.
yeah. I will say I enjoyed this, and this was the most I've ever enjoyed Heritage Cup rules and like the whole structure of it because the pacing was nice and quick. It's the same solution they had for fucking amateur and collegiate wrestling.
Yep.
Pick up the pace a little bit and do stuff. And like, yeah, that's pretty much what the Heritage Cup is founded on. Like, do all your technical stuff, but do it quick because you've got this much time. I really like it. I even said to you during Rocket League, or no, I don't think this was during games. I might have I don't know, maybe it was. But regardless, I said to you that in parts, I enjoyed this more even than ZSJ versus Danielson because ZSJ Danielson was over 30 minutes. And the last act was fantastic. I mean, that was some really sublime technical wrestling. But like, I could have done for some better pacing in parts of it. It did feel a little slow. It did feel a little whatever. This had no pacing issues. I loved it. I love that No Quarter Catch Crew were the heels here in this sense because they used their numbers the same way the metaphor has been using the numbers the whole time. I will say the only weird thing, I'm happy for Charlie Dempsey that he's the champion. I'm happy for No Quarter Catch Crew that they feel like a legit faction on NXT. It's just weird that the title reign kind of ends this way because commentary even mentioned that collectively, I guess, between his reigns, the Dar, I don't even know, or maybe they just meant this individual reign. I don't know. But they said that he's been champ for like 730 days. I'm like, that's literally 2 years exactly. That's a big fucking deal. So, like,
Yep.
I don't know. I would have liked more of a deal to be made about that. Maybe even like a video package detailing Dar's reign or reigns, because I don't know if they meant like cumulative days or
Yeah,
just one
it was
single reign.
cumulative because he did lose the title. I think it was to Nathan Frazier at one point.
Okay. Okay.
I
Um,
think
even
it
so, though,
might have
just
been
to
to
put
Bate. It was there was a whole thing where he lost the title to one of them, and then he pretended that he didn't actually lose it. So, but then he ended up losing it to the other one anyway, and then he won it back. And I think it was Frazier that he actually lost it to, but then he pretended that he didn't lose. So then he pretended that he was defending a fake version of the Heritage Cup against Tyler Bate, and he lost that version of it to him anyway. So then it was like there were two versions of the Heritage Cup, but then Dar ended up just winning it back from Frazier anyway. So it's like he basically, quote unquote, unified the fake and the real Heritage Cup titles at NXT Heatwave this past year.
right, right. So even first of all, thank you for clarifying that. Second of all, even with that in mind, it would have been nice, I think, to have a video package detailing Dar's history with the Heritage Cup
Yeah,
and
that
to
was
show just
what
how
we just
credible.
came off of with Dempsey beating him was actually his third reign with that title.
Yeah,
Because he
like
held it in NXT UK twice, and the
right.
second NXT UK reign bled over into NXT, and of course NXT 2.0, right? And so
Yes.
the first reign was 260 days, and then that second reign that bled over in NXT that got broken up by Frazier and that whole storyline, that was 341 days. And then Dar, quote unquote, unifying the real and the fake Heritage Cups. That's the title reign that just ended with Charlie Dempsey winning, and that title reign for Dar lasted 189 days. So yeah, combined, those three reigns together were recognized as, I think you said 730 days,
Yeah, that's what Vic Joseph said. Yeah.
but in the real world it was actually 790 days because of how like weird like NXT UK tapings were and stuff like that.
Wow, yeah. So yeah, a video package or something just really put him over the top. I think would have been nice. Match was great though. I love the Dragon Suplex finish for Dempsey to like just win the cup completely because he got a fall very early on, like within the first minute of round one with a bridging backslide. And I love that more people are using that now. And then yeah, a no quarter catch crew, they take a cheap shot. at Dar after the fact. And so, yeah, they really just use the numbers. And so, yeah, it's nice that Dar actually has legit competition now for people that also aren't afraid to use their numbers. And this is great for Dempsey. I figured that they would want to give him something, given that he just did the All Japan recently, AJPW. But yeah, this was really solid for him. I like this, and kudos to Dar and kudos to Metaphor. I personally think that a babyface turn is coming because it just seems like they've lost a lot, and they do have that likability. And I love their entrance where each member gets a different color, and that's why I love when they all come out together because it's like, oh man, you get to see the whole spectrum of color there of the Metaphor. But yeah, I love the gimmick. I think the people involved are great, and yeah, Dar's in a very very good spot right now, as is
Yeah.
Lash especially.
Yeah.
And we'll have to see how it goes.
Lash is going to be a lot of fun to watch going forward for sure.
Dude, yes.
Speaking of the
I am.
metaphor, Jakara, did you talk about Jakara?
I did. I did talk
Okay.
about her match with Roxanne.
I
Yeah.
just blanked. Okay, yeah.
No, it's fine. So yeah, that's NXT. And so now we'll get on to our next segment. And you know what I'm gonna ask? Did you do any extracurriculars this week?
Hell no.
Me either, because I'm steeped in books and really just enjoying my
You're
time.
steeped in books. I'm steeped in games. We've got our own things.
Yeah, I love you having a life. That's so beautiful. That's great. Um, yeah, so I guess with that, you guys know what time it is. Q&A time. So whatever questions you have about this week in the world of wrestling,
In
fire them
before
off.
Caster Sales had one typed up and ready to go before you even said that.
Not dude, right? Some people are really quick on the draw, and
I'm
Castry
just
is
gonna say
definitely
it
one of them.
though. It looks like that's not true. He hasn't sent one yet. He would have by now if he had one. Oh, there it is. There it is. It was a longer one. That's why. He said, "What do you think of Obafemi accepting challenges from people with close to no true claim to his belt and or that just came from a big defeat like Lexus King and Brooks Jensen?"
I think it shows how terrified people should rightfully be of Obafemi that they don't want to step up to the fucking god because they're peons. So yeah, he'll enjoy the scraps, but sooner or
It
later he's gonna be eaten big.
it shows that the only people willing to step to Obafemi are those with nothing to lose.
I love that. I'm perfect. Super Blue AEW. No, no. And to elaborate on that, even though I wish I could just leave it at no because that's so perfect. We didn't check in on AEW. I think
Oh
we're both
yeah,
just kind of checked out of
I
AEW.
wanted to ask you. We were kind of talking about this before we went live. Did you want to do any kind of preview prediction for Revolution tomorrow?
I mean, we might as well since Super Blue asked about it, so we'll give him more than he bargained for his question. So pull up the card and let's do this as quickly and as painfully as
Okay,
painlessly. Go
since you
ahead.
told me to pull up the card, it implies that you aren't pulling up the card. So I want to play a game. John, how many matches are on the card, including the pre-show?
12.
You're so close. It's 11.
Damn. Do I get half points at least for being close?
You get 3/4 of a point for being within one.
Nice, amazing. I'll
All right.
take it.
So opening the pre-show, the what do they call it? Buy-in. The buy-in. We've got two
Yes.
matches. One of them is of course a women's match because AEW. We've got a tag team match. It's Julia Hart and Sky Blue. Apparently, Julia isn't defending the TNT title or TBS title rather on the main show at all against Statlander and Willow Nightingale
Um,
with Stokely
I'm
Hathaway, by the way.
I'm just gonna go with Statlander and Willow.
Yeah,
So yeah.
yeah. It would be really nice though. I gotta say, I think now this is me fantasy booking, and I want to make that very clear. I don't actually expect this to happen. I just think this would be a fun thing that they could do to catch some interest. If Stokely cost the team that he's trying to manage the match unintentionally, and that drove a wedge in their relationship, or drove a wedge in between Statlander and Willow, causing one of them to side with Stokely and the other one to get pissed and want to, tell him to get the fuck out, right?
Yeah.
Julia and Sky win, but then after Chris and Willow clear the ring, we get Megan Bain showing up and cleaning house and beating the fuck out of Julia and Sky and challenging Julia for the TBS title on the following Dynamite.
That'd be amazing.
That to
Yeah.
me, that's like you're creating interest in your women's division out of nothing.
Yes, absolutely.
The other buy-in match, by the way, is a complete throwaway match. We have got the Bang Bang Scissor Gang which is, for those of you who don't know, Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, Billy Gunn, Austin Gunn, Colton Gunn, and Jay White, versus the truly impeccable team of Jeff Jarrett. Immediately, I feel like I should stop, but I'm going to keep going anyway. Satnam Singh, Jay Lethal, Willie Mack, and Private Party.
What are they doing to Willie Mack? He's so much better than this.
Did you see him botch a shooting star the other week?
No.
Bro, I don't remember who it was against, but he went for a standing shooting star and he landed on his fucking head.
Jesus Christ.
Actually, it might have been a moonsault, but regardless, he went for like a standing flippy move and legit just could not get the flips for it and landed straight on his fucking head.
Bang Bang Scissor Gang for the win.
Sad but true. All right, let's get to the main card. Let's just talk
Jesus.
about the shit that does not matter at all, like FTR versus BCC.
BCC to win because I feel like Cash Wheeler still has charges or something, and AEW might be tempted to push that. I thought I heard that there were still going to be legal proceedings against him with all of his stuff, so
Bro,
I'm
I
gonna go
can't believe
BCC.
he's even on this show. Honestly, yeah, like
Me either, honestly. Yeah.
you know what? I'm gonna go out of my way. I'm gonna make a bold prediction here, and I'm gonna say FTR win because if Cash is on this show at all, it means that something had to get cleared. So maybe they'll build to FTR versus the Young Bucks down the line again.
Also, just very quickly, Javaris, if you noticed, Super Blue asked about the card of Revolution, and we already talked about just doing a quick preview prediction for Revolution. I know I'm not going to be watching it. I don't know, Ashton, if you're going to like be checking in on it at all, but like, yeah, let's just keep going. Because honestly, being reminded of how bad AEW is, the idea that FTR is even on this card just blows my fucking mind. So what came after this? Yeah,
Osprey to Keshta.
I love Takeshita, but Osprey's winning that. He just
Yeah.
got there officially. Like, yeah, that's easy.
Everything else is championship related, so let's talk about the least important championship, which I would argue is probably Eddie Kingston's Continental Crown Championship. He's defending against Danielson.
I'm gonna say Kingston wins.
Oh, and
Danielson puts it over the open.
if Danielson loses, he has to shake Eddie's hand.
Yeah, Danielson's losing.
Yeah,
I still
100%
stand by
for
that.
sure. Um, we've got let's see here. TNT title, Christian Cage defending against Daniel Garcia.
I actually saw one segment related to this where like Christian said, "How does it feel that your mom lives at the cemetery or whatever?" It was weird. Um,
Apparently, Daniel
and
Garcia also has a dead father somewhere.
yes, don't they all?
Apparent fucking. I mean, it's at what point do we have to do like an actual psychological study on the world of pro wrestling? Like, is it a like? Is it a like? Is there a higher percentage of pro wrestlers with dead fathers than the average populace? Like, is it like a trend that like having a dead father increases your likelihood of being psychologically fucking broken enough to get into this shit business?
I mean, possibly because it's like, oh my god, there's like a huge void of that a masculinity that I need to overcompensate for via pro wrestling.
That's what I'm saying, right? Like, I feel like there's almost something to this that Christian just has this fucking bottomless hole from which to pick from of material, basically, because everyone's dads are dead, apparently.
Also, I know you didn't mean to and you weren't thinking about it because you were just speaking and making points like a normal person. But you, when talking about the dead father, and we were kind of discussing at one point, you said apparently, and that just makes me want to have Keith Lee join with Christian
Oh,
and kind of do that riff. And it was me like, apparently, you wouldn't know anything about that because your father's dead.
no.
Um, and you're
That's
welcome,
their tag
AEW.
team name. Christian Cage and Keith Lee's tag team name is Apparently.
AEW, we just single-handedly gave you better content than you've been putting on TV for months. You're welcome. Next match. Oh, by the way, Christian retains because I never
Yeah,
gave an answer.
I would
Christian
sure
retains.
as hell hope so, but you know what? Gut feeling, I'm going to call it Garcia wins.
That's yeah. Okay.
You
Nice.
thought about it. You were like, that's hideous,
I
which is
wa-
exactly why it's something they would do.
Dude, I don't think you understand. I'm dead inside. I wish I was the Avatar so I could be reincarnated in a place that doesn't have AEW as a company. Jesus fucking Christ.
Okay. What do we do? Let's talk about the international title. Orange Cassidy defending against Roderick Strong. Orange should win, or Roderick should win here, right?
Yeah. So wait, can you clear something up for me? I'm sorry to derail this, but wasn't there talk that Malachi won a singles title and we thought he won the international title? Was that just like clickbaity garbage
Must have
bullshit?
been, yeah.
Again? Like, oh my god, I hate this fucking business. I hate this fucking business. I think Roddy should win. I just, I think he's part of the faction.
I mean,
I
yeah,
think he's one of the
like they
over
need
people in that faction.
credibility
Yeah.
right now more than they need air at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. So Roddy, just Roddy.
Um, so yeah, we both. I feel like Roddy needs to win, but also just gonna throw it out there. Wouldn't surprise me if Orange Cassidy retained. Um, Timeless Tony Storm defending against Deonna Purrazzo. It feels like they've built up to Deonna winning here, but she really shouldn't. But I feel like she's
She
going
really
to anyway.
She really shouldn't. I'm picking Tony to retain. And just very quickly, friend, I just want to address Super Blue. I don't think Brian's going to win an AEW title personally, and I only want to answer this now because I really don't want to talk about AEW again after we're done doing this. Like, I really don't. So, no, I don't think he will. Uh, so, yeah, I think Tony is going to retain because I really do think that the end game is going to be Mariah versus Tony. But, if Deanna wins it, and it's just another hot potato thing. AEW does not
I mean,
respect
they
their
could
women,
get
so
to
win for
Mariah
excitement.
versus Tony by having Deonna beat Tony and then having Mariah beat Deonna and do the whole like Orton Triple H thing where you beat the person that the champion couldn't beat kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true. They could do that for sure. We'll
I
see.
don't think they
We'll see.
will, but they could.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Um, yeah.
so there are two matches left,
Oh,
and
thank God.
actually three. There's three matches left.
Oh,
Let's
fuck.
do the one that's going to main event the show first because it's the least important one to us. Sting and Darby Allin versus the Young Bucks for the
Okay,
tag titles. It's for the tag titles. Sting and Darby are the champions.
can I just, because we haven't watched anyway, can I just have permission to be Peak John for
Do
two
it,
seconds?
please. I'm begging you.
Is anybody thinking that Darby might turn on Sting here, even in the post match? Because I've been thinking about that for so long.
It would
But
be
then I'm like,
the ultimate way to protect Sting, even though they don't need to protect Sting, while still putting the titles on the Young Bucks. Yes.
because here's the thing. I only say it because it's been on my mind. And I really thought originally they were just going to do Darby versus Sting in a singles match. I don't give a fuck about Darby Allin, but I clearly like pro wrestling enough to be here, and I'm just treating it as I would any other pro wrestling and thinking about stories. That said, I still feel like AEW wants Darby to be a top babyface. Like I saw the promo backstage that him and Sting did. Sting talking about his father dying. Oh dear God, I'm really not trying to invite jokes. I am sorry for Steve's loss. But then Darby's talking about again the same shtick that he's been doing. The last time I heard him pick up a mic about, oh, we're so attached to material possessions and this and that, and I'm like, dude, I don't fucking believe you. Like you're a sociopath and you're a piece of shit. You talk about material possessions and being so enlightened. People have literally talked about how you made homeless people do disgusting things for money because you're psychotic. Like, fuck you, dude. Like, don't try and sell me that you're some enlightened person. You're better than all of us when you shoved hot sauce up your ass. Now,
To
it
try and
really is
impress a girl.
to try and impress the girl. Now keep in mind, folks, nobody dislikes me more than me. And even I know I'm better than this piece of shit. Stop trying to fucking peddle your superiority, Darby, you fuck ass. God, I hate it. Dude, I've tried to be better about how we talk about pro wrestlers because they are people. And I realize that even a platform like ours, we're not the biggest podcast in the world, but we're still a platform. And there comes responsibility with that. But I will never lie to you or our audience. I hate this dude. When I think about pro wrestlers that I actually hate, Darby Allin is on that list. He is such a disingenuous motherfucker. God, I hate him. But trying to center myself in being mature, which I don't think it's immature to call out sociopaths, but I digress. I could see them, maybe thinking like this babyface thing, man, it's fucking ass. Let me help you, AEW. It's not the alignment that's ass. Look a little deeper. Um, Maybe let's try heel and him attacking Sting on his retirement, losing the titles could be a big thing. And then Darby could go into be even edgier and darker and maybe even do his skateboard different colors so you know that he's a heel and, just get him heat that way. I do also think that maybe they just have the match, and either way, I should say the Bucks win. And I think this could be one of the more interesting tag title reigns that the Bucks have had the last couple of years. So that's good at least. Um, let's see. Today is okay, so it's March 3rd. Okay. Because dude, I was actually gonna ask you, just because again, we haven't watched AEW and this company clearly doesn't give a fuck. I was gonna ask you if you thought that Okada would close this show, maybe helping Sting from a beatdown or something, but I don't think Okada's showing up here. Let me just check in
No.
with you. Do you think Okada's showing up here on the show in any capacity?
Nope.
Okay. So just so we're clear. Um,
We're on the same
and
page as far as that concerns.
so yeah, I just think the Bucks win, and I've been thinking maybe Darby turns heel so they could kind of have an NXT thing where it's like, oh, there's the logo, but it's not over because look at Darby doing that. But except without all of the good, without all of the hype, because it's fucking
Without
Darby Allin.
any of the good.
Exactly. I I really just want him to fail in everything he does. He said he wanted to make movies. I hope he's never allowed to pick up a camera, and if he does, I hope he like breaks the algorithm of Rotten Tomatoes. Like I just people just hate it that fucking much. You don't deserve success, and I will just say until you reform. So I did put a qualifier there, so I'm not totally unhinged. Until you reform, you don't deserve happiness. Fuck you. So yeah, there we go.
2 matches left. The second to last one is an all-star scramble match. I don't know if you knew that this was even happening. I
I knew
didn't.
this was happening.
I
Yeah,
didn't.
I
I
actually,
didn't know this was
yeah.
happening until I looked at it right now on the Wikipedia page. So I'm also very confused because we've got, I think it's 8 guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 8 guys. One of whom I don't even recognize. This is a first. So, okay, we've got Chris Jericho, we've got Wardlow, we've got Powerhouse Hobbs, Lance Archer, Hook, Brian Cage, Magnus, and Dante Martin. Who the fuck is Magnus?
I don't know because Nick Aldis is the GM of SmackDown.
That's what I'm saying. I pulled up his Wikipedia page and it says that he is a Mexican reality TV personality and masked luchador. So I'm guessing this is one of the CMLL guys that they brought in alongside
I
with like
don't
Hechicero.
I don't know why, because nothing you said was wrong or like out of left field, but just something about that string of words together broke me. I think it just broke me. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? I don't I'm scared. I'm scared. Okay, keep it together, John. Keep it together. It's just a little longer, sweetie. You can do this.
So this
Um,
has to be Wardlow, right?
That's what I thought. Dude, it's either gonna be him or watch it be fucking Jericho for some reason. But I'm gonna go Wardlow. I'm just
Like
gonna go
yeah, like
Wardlow.
it feels like it has to be Wardlow because he's the only one in this entire match that feels like they have made world title aspirations clear.
Yes.
Like everyone else, like there's sort of this like understanding in AEW that everyone wants to be a champion because that's pretty much the only storyline they're capable of telling. But Wardlow's the only one who's made it clear that like the world title is in his sights right now. He wants it
Yes.
now. So yeah, like I feel like this has to go to Wardlow. If it goes to anyone else, it's gonna be underwhelming no matter what. I would say the least underwhelming options would be Archer and Brian Cage and Hobbs. Those three I'm fine with. Everyone else, it's underwhelming.
Yeah. I would agree. I would agree. I think you're on point there.
And even Archer,
Um,
I would say Archer would be a little underwhelming just because of how old he is.
yes. Yes.
Anyway, the main event though is Samoa Joe. Our main event is Samoa Joe, Hangman, and Swerve. I don't even know what to predict here because the correct answer is Swerve wins, but it's Tony K.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you what I think right now, brother. I'm not gonna waste any time. I do think Joe retains, but he pins Hangman because I think in Tony's mind, Swerve is like turning face. Like more people are getting behind him, and so we've got to have him chase. We can't just crown him now. And to be fair, Joe did just get the title, and I know he's older, and I know there's always that risk, but I have been liking Joe's work, and I would just prefer if Swerve would beat him in a singles match. I think that'd be pretty fucking sweet. So I'm gonna say, yeah, Joe retains, but he pins Hangman, which will
That makes
then give
sense.
Swerve being like, yeah, well, I deserve my one-on-one shot. You cut in it again, even though I beat you twice already, and you still haven't even beaten me. So shut the fuck up. Let me get my shot, and then
Well, and
cut
plus
the crap.
Hangman's whole shtick isn't I want the title. I just want to stop Swerve from winning the title. So he gets exactly what he wants. He prevents Swerve from winning the title by eating the pin.
Yes, and to circle back to Caster Sales' question, which came after the Super Blue Revolution card question, I do just think Swerve is hopefully going to beat Joe for the AEW title. If not him, definitely Wardlow. Like it's either Swerve or Wardlow to me to get the
Yeah, I
job
could
done.
see a scenario where Wardlow does it, and then like Adam Cole tries to make Wardlow give him the title, and he doesn't, and then we get a triple threat: Wardlow, Cole, Swerve, and Swerve pins Cole.
That could happen, yeah. It would kind of stink for Swerve, like in kayfabe, to be a part of two triple threat world title matches when it's like, do I just get my one-on-one match? But if he wins one of them, then we're all good. So,
Anyways,
yeah,
we're done with
yes,
AEW now. We're closing the door on AEW. We're no longer accepting questions about AEW, assuming we've answered all of them thus far. So, any other questions related to this week in the world of wrestling, feel free.
yes. Alex Foster, thoughts on Thea's stance on Chase U this week? Well, I mean, Thea just seems to be having a little bit of a conundrum. I do think she'll go back to being her hyperactive babyface, but I think also she might want to separate from Chase U, given that she
Shh.
did graduate in a way, and it's like, okay, I'm ready to just leave
The
and
only
kind of do my
thing
own
that
thing.
she needs to separate herself from is JC Jane.
You know what? Normally, I would be like, make a thing about this and be like, no, Ashton, and then something about your face. But two things. One, you're right. And two, my soul really got sucked by all that AEW discourse. So I don't even have it in me. So yeah, Thea, go for healthier friendships. It'll help you. Trust me. Um, so then, Javaris, do you think WWE should do with Liv what Stardom and the Balls to do with Tam, and that is have Liv just pretty much go mad? Essentially, is what he's saying. Um, Javaris, the only reason I'm going to tell you no is not because it's not a good idea. I would like to see a Liv that just doesn't give a fuck and takes it on everybody. But we've seen how WWE does mad, both with the Liv Morgan that apparently loves pain when she was taking it to the extreme, which I thought was a bit weird for her, and with Joe Gacy in NXT. To be mad is to be a cornball. It's to be utterly hokey and
Yeah.
corny and just unbelievable.
I was actually,
So
when you finished your whole thing, I was going to straight up just ask Tavares what he, in his mind, sees that looking like. Like, in his mind, in your mind, Tavares, what does Liv staring at the abyss and embracing the madness look like in your mind? I'm very curious because you wanted that to happen with Tam, and I didn't really understand what that meant then. And now you're saying you want it with Liv, and I don't really understand what you mean by that now. So I would love it if you could just elaborate on exactly what that means in your mind.
in the Discord, I know Javaris was talking with Gala and stuff and saying like, I just want her to get like punch Becky in the mouth, get a chair and start swinging at people. I think he just wants Liv to get more physically involved on this revenge tour and start taking people out that she feels like are line cutting and stuff. But like the thing is, I could almost agree with it on paper. I just think the execution would be underwhelming. And I'd rather Liv. I'm hoping
Because I
Liv
feel
doesn't
like
even
we're
turn.
looking at, like, remember when the Riot Squad was a thing and their whole shtick was like they would just randomly walk around backstage and just like throw papers off of desks and like rub their hands on people's heads and like just like mess with people for no reason. And we were supposed to be like, oh my god, these people suck. They're such rebels. Holy shit.
Said rubbing heads just because I'm me. I feel like I'd be an authority figure, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, the riot squad's out of control." What did they do? They rubbed scalp without consent. That's
But
it. We need,
that I feel like that's like the most unhinged that WWE will allow anyone to be, though, is the thing.
yeah, no, again, because you're not in
It's
Lucha
not like we're
Underground's
gonna have Liv
debut, yeah,
Morgan pulling a retribution and cutting ring ropes with chainsaws.
yeah. Javara said like he just wants her to go on a warpath, against everybody trying to stop her from destroying Rhea. And look, I mean, dude, I can see where you're coming from because I feel like Rhea and Liv specifically, just to focus on that, could be a really personal feud. We just saw that Imperium and New Day had an amazing street fight. I feel like Rhea and Liv could do something similar, but like I, w- you know what I think? Where I think they are doing it a bit better, as far as like not even necessarily crazy, but just angry. Roxanne Perez. If you do Liv similar to a Roxanne Perez, see, I could vibe with that, where she just beats people and maybe she beats them a little too much, but it's like to send a message. It doesn't like reverse the decision. It doesn't border on psychotic. It's just to be like, I'm fucking her. Like I'm the next one. to get a crack at Rhea. If you kind of walk that line with Liv being more like Roxanne and less like a Joe Gacy, I can fucks with that a lot actually, because I feel like that Liv, if they kind of brought that out, would be a contender to Rhea, and maybe you could even do because I wouldn't want it to be a one match program. I'd want it to at least be 3 matches, with maybe the second and third, or at the very least the third match being the stip match, and then you could do something. But yeah, I don't see any kind of warp path or anything like that. Because keep in mind, Javaris, we wanted the same thing for a woman that could definitely pull it off in Asuka when fucking Bailey and Sasha went after Kyrie, and that never happened. WWE just never does it, and when they do, they have the hokiest conception of it. So it's a lose-lose either way. So I think that thoroughly answers that question. So let's move on. I want to scroll up because I know that there were other questions. Um, okay, yeah, that was Super Blue, and we already kind of wrapped that up. Super Blue did ask, now this was ROH, so I'll allow it. He said, how do you feel about Johnny TV having custody of the boys? Ashton, I actually want you to answer this first because I already said in the Discord that this was fucking hilarious.
Yeah,
Dalton crying over
I
losing
mean,
everything
really,
was fantastic.
pretty much same. I've found this angle pretty great, pretty much since its inception at Final Battle. I've enjoyed what I've seen of it. So yeah, it's good shit. I'm hoping that we get to see the boys doing fun stuff and goofy shit on Johnny and Taya's YouTube channel.
Yeah, dude, I just love how good Johnny is at this business. And to give Dalton his flowers, so I'm not like hyper fixated as per usual. Dalton's great too,
Of
and
course.
this is another. I'm telling you, it's a good
And it
time
does
to
take
be.
two, because as great as Johnny has been as the foil, Dalton has been selling the shit out of everything in this angle and just making it very clear that Johnny has ruined his life.
I mean, dude, I know when a performer makes you genuinely cackle from a joyful place, not
Yeah.
from a despairing, oh my god, why am I a fan of this place? What am I,
You mean my AEW Tony Khan laugh?
Yes, yeah, yes. No, and I know Dalton's always had like a line to you for years, and for good reason. He's immensely talented. I'm impressed with both these guys 'cause I think they are both at the older side at this stage of their careers. I know Johnny definitely is. I think Johnny's like mid 40s now. And
Yeah.
he's still, I mean, God, he's like another Finn Balor because the physique and everything else, and like he's still doing great shit. So yeah, I'm excited. I am wondering like how Dalton just gets everything back, but I guess that's part of a good story. Um, I'm just gonna package these Super Blue questions together. He just wants to know if we're gonna watch any of the Bloodline matches come Mania. I'm leaving that entirely at Ashton's discretion based on how things go. I'm guessing we'll watch the tag match, won't we? I'm guessing you'll want to react to that, right?
Probably, yeah. There's just enough of everyone other than Cody in that I'd be willing to watch it with you for sure.
And then I don't think it really matters what the outcome is. Are we just still committed to skipping Cody
I'm
versus
not
Roman?
watching Cody and Roman.
So yeah, there's your answer, Blue. We're watching the tag match, but fuck the main event match. And yeah, we'll probably just have it on in the background while Ash and I are doing other things like loving life.
Exactly. It'll be on, but I won't be paying attention to it. My mom will have her eyes glued, and I'll be doing something more important to me.
I love it for you. I love it so much. All right. Well, given that it's almost 1 a.m. and I also value my life and I need to get some food cooking and some gaming done
That's
with Ashton.
beautiful, and I love that for you.
Oh, thank you. Look at this
Thank you in
mutual
your
admiration.
face.
Oh, look at this mutual admiration society with no AEW or Cody in it. My ideal world. But yeah, given that it's almost 1 a.m., I am closing the gate. We are done questions. So high spots and low shots. I was getting ready to do the outro until I remember that this was a segment. My
We do
son's
have another
favorite segment.
segment. Yeah, I haven't seen Abel in a little bit.
I know. I love you, Abel.
We
Be good to
both
yourself
do.
out there. Yes, absolutely. Um, high spots, low shots. Man, what a week. Um, Low shot. You know what? I'm gonna say low shot. Even though he stood tall in NXT, I'm still gonna say that my low shot is Carmelo Hayes. Because Carmelo Hayes, his whole thing was, I'm just gonna campaign to just straight up get the shot at stand and deliver. And he didn't expect to be challenged by Tony D'Angelo. And now he's got to beat Tony D'Angelo next week, which isn't guaranteed, especially if a certain somebody is waiting for Carmelo, i.e., Trick Williams. So yeah, his path just got all the more complicated when he thought it was going to be just a straight shot through to stand and deliver. So yeah, my low shot's Carmelo.
Uh, Self-explanatory. Zion Quinn.
Perfect. Wow. You're just all about the economy, aren't you? That's really sexy. Um, High spot. God. God. You know what? I'm going to keep it simple and I'm going to stay within NXT. Charlie Dempsey. won the Heritage Cup.
Very nice.
You know what? You know why too, man. And I'm being completely serious about this. It could have been so easy just to keep no quarter catch crew like that joke faction that has legit guys, but they're never going to get a chance to prove that they're legit guys. The idea that they got this was honestly so much more than I thought NXT was ever going to do with them. So yeah, I'm giving them the high spot while they genuinely have like earned it and they're genuinely in the conversation. So yeah, Charlie Dempsey and just no quarter catch crew because it was literally a team effort.
Yeah,
Who's your high
actually
spot?
watching the show on Tuesday, as soon as it was Charlie that didn't step back, like because the other three guys stepped back and he just stood there to make it clear that he was the person that was challenging for the title, I knew he was going to be winning it. I didn't know it, but I definitely had like a strong feeling that it was going to be a title change that night.
Bro, I'm so glad you built this up for me because legitimately I had to like watch myself because with me being in the extra room, I try as much as I can to control noise to not wake the family up. But when it was Charlie, I popped. Like I did a little mini squee and I'm like, oh man, we're doing it. And yeah, I'm really happy for the dude. So yeah, who's your high spot, brother?
Oh, my high spot is, you know what? I didn't think I'd ever see the day that I would do this during the existence of TwitWoW, but I'm going to take the advantage that I can take advantage of while I can. The Rock is my high spot.
Wow. You know what? Great choice. I I will say too, because it was a competitive week on both sides, or like high spots and low shots. I would also like to make an honorary high spot in Imperium because they won what in my mind was the best match on WWE TV this week. That street fight was fucking awesome, and they won it. So honorary high spots there. I'm just giving Dempsey the proper one because it was a championship,
Of course.
and it was yeah. So there you go.
Makes
But
sense.
yeah, as well, your face makes all the sense in the world to me, which is why it's so fucking beautiful. So now that I've been unnecessarily aggressive in an affectionate manner and therefore fulfilled my quota, we can get the fuck out of here. So thank you all for joining us for the weekend review. This has been TwitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. And viewers like you, that's right, PBS, I jacked your shit. Do something about it. Anyway, while you're all filing out, I would ask that you kindly like the video, subscribe, and click the bell icon. This way you can always be aware of all that TwitWow goodness. Be sure to check out everything we're involved in the description box. Follow us on Twitter and Twitch. And yeah, just remember that we are the best wrestling podcast in all the IWC. And we will see you guys again. Well, Ashton, I guess we'll just see him again Thursday, right? For Stardom recap, which should be beefier because we skipped this week. Sans for like there's
Yes,
one
we
match
have
on
one more
retainer.
match on top of whatever else we would have otherwise done on Thursday because of Rena defending her title against Yuzuki.
Exactly. Or it's actually Miyu Amasaki that she's
Oh,
defending. She already beat
oh,
Yuzuki.
that's right. Yeah, thank you for the correction.
No, of course, you're wonderful. So yes, it's going to be a holdover and it's going to be a beefier Stardom week, hopefully. And so, yeah, we will see you guys Thursday at 7 for that. So enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Enjoy all of your Sunday. I'm thinking I might be getting sushi on Sunday, so I'm excited. And yeah, we will see you then. And of course, guys, as always, be good to yourselves and each other. Tune in,